Beneath our feet lies a hidden world, a world of secret tunnels, locked rooms, and buried passageways stretching over 20,000 miles, farther than most of us can imagine. Places dug in darkness, used to survive for rituals or to hold power. Some of these tales have been dismissed as myths, others have been locked away in old records, and some are still off limits even today. How could ancient people carve entire cities with only simple tools? Why do so many myths describe the same kind of hidden worlds? Why are some tunnels still sealed today? And why do modern governments continue to build huge underground networks while refusing to explain their true purpose? Before we start, let us know in the comments below where in the world you're watching from and what the time is for you now. Then settle in as we take you on a journey to the mysterious creations by ancient humans. Beneath the soft, sun-warmed hills of central Turkey, in the region known as Cappadocia, lies a remarkable and mysterious network of tunnels and chambers, an entire city carved directly into the heart of the earth. This extraordinary place, known as Derinkuyu Underground City, is not a legend, a myth, or a story passed down by word of mouth. It is a very real, fully excavated city, discovered and explored over the last century, revealing secrets of human ingenuity, survival, and community that stretch back thousands of years. The city's very existence challenges our understanding of how ancient people lived, how they organized their societies, and how they responded to the threats and challenges of their world. Unlike modern cities built with concrete, steel, and glass, Derinkuyu was sculpted from soft volcanic rock, a naturally occurring substance that could be carved with relative ease, yet retained enough stability to support multiple levels stretching deep into the earth. In this way, the people who built it were able to create an entire urban environment underground, a feat that would astonish modern engineers as well as historians. The history of Derinkuyu is as fascinating as the city itself. While its exact origins are uncertain, most archaeologists agree that it was first constructed during the Byzantine period, though some evidence suggests that even earlier civilizations may have used the site in some form. The Byzantine era, which stretched from around 334 to 1453 AD, was a time of great turmoil, conflict, and religious transformation in what is now Turkey. During this period, communities faced repeated threats from invading armies, marauding groups, and local conflicts. The underground city offered an ingenious solution to these dangers, providing a secure refuge where entire populations could disappear from view, remain hidden for days, weeks, or even months, and survive without being discovered. The need for secrecy, protection, and long-term survival drove the creation of not just one or two simple caves, but an extensive multi-level complex capable of sustaining thousands of people. Derinkuyu Underground City is not a single tunnel or a small network of rooms. It is a labyrinth of passageways, chambers, and interconnected spaces that extend to an astonishing depth of approximately 280 feet below the surface. To put this in perspective, this is equivalent to nearly 28 average two-story houses stacked one on top of the other. Each level of the city serves a unique purpose, designed with careful thought and foresight. The lower levels are cooler and more stable in temperature, making them ideal for storing food and water, while the upper levels allowed for everyday living, social interaction, and community organization. Every element of Derinkuyu reflects careful planning, architectural skill, and an intimate understanding of human needs and natural materials. The builders understood that survival underground required more than simple holes in the ground. It required ventilation, water management, storage solutions, and defensive mechanisms. Ventilation was one of the most critical challenges, and the people of Derinkuyu solved it in a way that is nothing short of brilliant. The city contains a network of air shafts that reach all the way to the surface, some of which are more than 100 feet deep. These shafts allowed fresh air to circulate to even the deepest levels, ensuring that the inhabitants could breathe easily, avoid the buildup of dangerous gases, and maintain a relatively comfortable environment despite being underground for long periods. Remarkably, the design of the ventilation system shows an understanding of airflow that many modern engineers would recognize as advanced. The shafts were carefully placed to prevent smoke from fires used for cooking and heating from becoming trapped, and they were positioned to draw air through the entire complex efficiently. Without these air shafts, living deep underground would have been suffocating and unsustainable. Yet the people of Derinkuyu had already solved this problem centuries before similar engineering solutions appeared in many other parts of the world. Water was another vital consideration, and here too the ingenuity of the city's creators is evident. The underground city contains deep wells that provided fresh water to the inhabitants, even during extended periods of hiding. Some of these wells were connected to underground streams, while others collected rainwater from the surface through carefully designed channels. These wells were not just functional, they were also protected. Many were accessible only from inside the city, preventing enemies from contaminating the water supply or using it to flush out those hiding below. The designers understood that in times of siege, water could mean the difference between life and death, and they took every precaution to ensure that this precious resource would remain available when it was needed most. Storage was another area in which Derinkuyu demonstrates remarkable foresight. The city contains numerous rooms designed for the storage of food, wine, oil, and other essential supplies. Some rooms are large and cylindrical, capable of holding massive quantities of grain or other staples. Others are smaller and more specialized, designed to keep delicate items safe and dry. Storage was not just about stockpiling supplies, it was about ensuring that the community could endure long periods of isolation underground. Some estimates suggest that the city could house up to 20,000 people at its peak, a staggering number for a structure entirely underground. To feed and care for this many individuals, the storage rooms had to be extensive, well organized, and carefully maintained. The survival of thousands of people underground for extended periods was no small feat, yet the design of Derinkuyu made it possible. Defense was another central concern in the construction of Derinkuyu, and the city's layout reflects a sophisticated understanding of security and military strategy. The tunnels were deliberately narrow in many places, allowing only one person to pass at a time and making it easier to defend against intruders. Large rolling stone doors, some weighing several tons, could be moved into position to block passageways and seal off sections of the city from attackers. These doors were designed to be operated from the inside so that even if enemies reached the entrance of a level, they could not easily advance further. Some doors were so precisely crafted that they could fit perfectly into grooves, preventing anyone from forcing them open. The inhabitants also designed traps and hidden passages to confuse and delay invaders, demonstrating a deep understanding of human behavior, tactics, and strategic planning. Everyday life in Derinkuyu was supported by carefully designed spaces for living, worship, and social interaction. The city contains numerous living quarters, kitchens, communal areas, and even chapels and religious spaces. Some rooms are small, designed for individual families, while others are larger, meant for communal gatherings. The presence of chapels and religious spaces highlights the importance of spiritual life even in the midst of crisis and danger. These spaces allowed people to maintain a sense of normalcy, community, and cultural continuity even while hidden underground. Kitchens and food preparation areas were strategically located to make the most of the available ventilation and prevent smoke and odours from spreading throughout the city. This attention to detail reveals a level of planning and care that goes beyond mere survival. It reflects a deep commitment to sustaining a vibrant, functioning community even in the most challenging circumstances. The size and scale of Derinkuyu are truly staggering. Estimates suggest that the city contains as many as 8 levels open to the public today, but some studies indicate that there may be as many as 18 levels in total, extending even deeper into the volcanic rock. The lower levels include spaces for livestock, storage rooms, wells, and escape routes, while the upper levels were primarily for daily living and social activity. The construction of these levels required not only tremendous labour but also careful coordination, planning, and skill. The tunnels and rooms were carved with precision, ensuring that the structure remained stable even under the immense pressure of the overlying rock. This stability is one of the most impressive aspects of the city, as it allowed people to live, work, and move safely underground for centuries. Access to different levels was managed with a combination of vertical shafts, staircases, and ramps, allowing people to move efficiently throughout the complex while maintaining security. These pathways were deliberately narrow and winding in many cases, making it difficult for invaders to navigate while allowing residents to move quickly and safely. The design also ensured that the upper levels could be sealed off from the lower levels if necessary, providing additional layers of protection. This multi-level approach reflects a sophisticated understanding of both human needs and the principles of defense, demonstrating that the builders were not only practical engineers, but also strategic thinkers. The discovery and excavation of Derinkuyu in modern times have added further fascination to this remarkable city. While locals had long known about small caves and tunnels in the area, the full extent of the city was not revealed until the 20th century. Excavations began in earnest in the mid-20th century, uncovering layer after layer of rooms, passageways, and chambers that had been hidden underground for centuries. Archaeologists and historians were astonished by the complexity and scale of the site, as well as by the evidence of continuous human occupation over many centuries. The city's preservation is remarkable, with many features still intact despite the passage of time, the effects of natural erosion, and the impact of human activity. Derinkuyu is not unique in the region, though it is the most famous and extensive example of underground urban construction in Cappadocia. Nearby towns contain smaller underground cities, each with their own tunnels, chambers, and features. The density of these underground settlements suggests that the practice of building subterranean cities was widespread in the region, likely driven by similar concerns for safety, survival, and community organization. The volcanic rock of Cappadocia, soft enough to carve yet stable enough to support multiple levels, provided an ideal medium for these constructions. The people who created these cities took full advantage of the natural environment, transforming the rock into a functional, habitable space that could sustain life even under extreme conditions. The cultural and historical significance of Derinkuyu cannot be overstated. The city provides a rare glimpse into the lives of people who lived under constant threat, yet still managed to create a thriving, functional community. It demonstrates the lengths to which humans will go to protect themselves, their families, and their culture. The ingenuity required to design ventilation systems, water supplies, storage solutions, and defensive mechanisms centuries before modern engineering techniques were developed is truly remarkable. At the same time, the city reflects a deep understanding of human needs beyond mere survival, with spaces for worship, social interaction, and community life carefully integrated into the underground environment. Visitors to Derinkuyu today are often struck by the sense of wonder and awe that comes from walking through its tunnels and chambers. The narrow passageways, low ceilings, and twisting corridors create an immediate sense of intimacy and confinement, while the scale of the city and the depth of the tunnels remind one of the enormous effort required to construct and maintain such a complex system. Moving through the city, one can imagine the lives of the people who once called it home, moving quietly through the tunnels, tending to their animals, preparing food, and gathering with neighbours in the communal spaces. The city's design encourages reflection on the resilience, creativity, and adaptability of humans in the face of danger and uncertainty. Archaeological studies continue to reveal new insights into Derinkuyu. Analysis of the tools, construction methods, and layout has allowed researchers to piece together aspects of daily life, social organisation, and even the chronology of construction. Some rooms appear to have been added later, while others were modified to meet changing needs or respond to new threats. The evidence of long-term occupation suggests that the city was not simply a temporary refuge, but a sustainable environment capable of supporting large populations for extended periods. Researchers are also investigating connections between Derinkuyu and other underground settlements in the region, seeking to understand the broader context of subterranean urban life in ancient Cappadocia. The impact of Derinkuyu on modern culture and imagination is equally profound. It has inspired countless stories, legends, and theories about hidden civilizations, secret societies, and the extraordinary lengths to which humans can adapt to their environment. Writers, historians, and filmmakers have drawn on the city as a source of fascination, weaving its tunnels and chambers into narratives of mystery, adventure, and survival. Its very existence challenges assumptions about the limitations of ancient technology, human organization, and architectural capability, demonstrating that ingenuity and creativity know no temporal boundaries. Walking through Derinkuyu, it is easy to appreciate the complexity and sophistication of the city, from the massive rolling stone doors to the carefully carved living quarters, storage rooms, and ventilation shafts. Each element reflects a combination of practical necessity, strategic thinking, and a deep understanding of human behavior. The design of the city shows that its creators were not only concerned with surviving immediate threats, but also with ensuring the long-term sustainability safety, and cohesion of the community. The interplay of functionality, engineering, and human psychology is evident in every tunnel, doorway, and chamber, making the city a remarkable testament to human ingenuity. Even today, the city continues to spark curiosity and admiration. Scholars debate the exact origins of Derinkuyu, the specific purposes of some of its more unusual chambers, and the extent to which the city was used over the centuries. Some chambers remain mysterious, their original function unknown, suggesting that there may still be secrets waiting to be uncovered. The study of Derinkuyu also sheds light on broader patterns of human adaptation, settlement, and survival, offering lessons that are relevant not only to historians but to anyone interested in the resilience and creativity of human societies. In addition to its historical and archaeological significance, Derinkuyu serves as a remarkable example of how humans have interacted with their environment throughout history. By carving a city into the volcanic rock of Cappadocia, its builders transformed a natural landscape into a highly functional, habitable space that met their needs for safety, sustenance, and social organization. The city is a physical manifestation of the human drive to survive, adapt, and thrive in even the most challenging conditions. It also highlights the relationship between natural resources and human innovation, showing how people have used the materials at hand to create solutions that are both practical and enduring. The underground city is a labyrinth in the truest sense of the word, with corridors twisting, turning, and branching in seemingly endless configurations. The layout of Derinkuyu encourages careful exploration as one navigates through levels that were once teeming with life. The experience of moving through the tunnels, with the soft light filtering down from the surface and the cool, stable temperature of the rock, evokes a sense of connection with the people who built and inhabited this extraordinary place. Every passageway, doorway, and chamber tells a story of human ingenuity, determination, and the desire to protect and sustain life in the face of uncertainty and danger. Derinkuyu also challenges modern perceptions of ancient life. It shows that ancient societies were capable of remarkable engineering feats, sophisticated social organization, and long-term strategic planning. The city's design reflects not only practical knowledge, but also a deep understanding of human needs, including safety, comfort, and community cohesion. It demonstrates that the people of Cappadocia were able to create a complex, multi-level urban environment underground, supporting thousands of individuals with water, food, shelter, and social infrastructure. In this sense, Derinkuyu is not merely an archaeological site. It is a testament to the resourcefulness, creativity, and resilience of human beings across the ages. Every aspect of Derinkuyu, from its ventilation shafts to its hidden chambers, tells a story of careful planning, human cooperation, and the drive to survive. The city's ability to house up to 20,000 people in such a confined space is a remarkable achievement, reflecting both the architectural skill of its builders and the social organization necessary to maintain such a community. The city's tunnels, rolling stone doors, and specialized rooms all reveal an intricate balance between practicality, defense, and everyday life, demonstrating that even under extreme conditions, humans have the capacity to create spaces that are functional, safe, and sustainable. Kaymakli underground city, nestled in the heart of the Cappadocia region of Turkey, is one of the most fascinating and mysterious places in the world, a vast and intricate labyrinth carved into the soft volcanic rock that tells stories of human ingenuity, survival, and a past that is both ancient and almost incomprehensible in its scale and ambition. Located not far from its slightly larger and better-known neighbour, Derinkuyu underground city, Kaymakli represents another remarkable example of how human beings long ago managed to create entire living spaces below the surface of the earth, spaces that could shelter, protect, and sustain thousands of people for extended periods of time. Unlike the bright and open cities and towns above ground, Kaymakli is a shadowed and silent world, a place where passageways wind like twisting rivers of stone, rooms cluster in unexpected patterns, and hidden staircases spiral into depths that seem to go on forever. The city's very existence challenges our understanding of what ancient civilizations were capable of, showing that they could not only shape the land to suit their needs, but could do so on a scale that was both practical and incredibly sophisticated. The city of Kaymakli, like its neighbour Derinkuyu, was built within a geological wonder. The landscape of Cappadocia itself is remarkable, Thousands of years of volcanic activity left layers of tuff, a soft and workable rock covering the region, which over time has hardened enough to be durable, but remained soft enough to carve. It was this unique geology that allowed ancient inhabitants to excavate huge underground spaces without the modern tools we think are necessary today. Imagine for a moment, centuries ago, people using only hand tools, chisels, hammers, and sheer determination to chip away at rock, to hollow out entire levels beneath the ground, to create not just rooms but kitchens, stables, storage areas, living quarters, chapels and corridors so well planned that they could accommodate thousands of people and all the functions of daily life. Kaymakli is thought to have had 8 levels underground originally, although today only 4 levels are open to the public, and the remaining ones are either blocked or unexplored, hidden as if they are still guarding their secrets from the world above. The 4 accessible levels already stretch deep into the earth, revealing a complex network of tunnels, ventilation shafts, and cleverly designed spaces that allowed for light, air and movement even in total darkness. It is easy to imagine walking through Kaymakli in those times, hearing the echoes of footsteps along the stone corridors, seeing the smoke of small fires waft up through hidden chimneys, and sensing the tension of people trying to remain unseen by threats above ground. The history of Kaymakli is shrouded in mystery, and much of it is pieced together from archaeology, local traditions and historical records. While no one knows the exact date when the first tunnels of Kaymakli were dug, some scholars believe that the origins could reach as far back as the Hittites, who ruled large parts of Anatolia in the 2nd millennium before the Common Era. Over the centuries, these tunnels were expanded, rebuilt and modified by successive generations. By the early centuries of the 1st millennium before the Common Era, during the period of Roman control and later Byzantine rule, underground cities like Kaymakli were likely being used extensively, particularly as places of refuge during times of war, invasion or social unrest. The region of Cappadocia itself was often a frontier, a crossroads of empires, and a contested land where armies passed, raiders came and went, and communities had to find ways to survive when the world above became too dangerous. It is in this context that Kaymakli can be understood not just as an architectural marvel, but as a lifeline, a place of safety for entire communities, where families, livestock, food, and all the necessities of life could be hidden from sight for days, weeks, or even months at a time. Walking through Kaymakli today, one is struck by the thoughtfulness of its design. The city is arranged around a central corridor that stretches through the levels like the spine of a giant living organism. Branching off from this main artery are rooms of various sizes, some just enough to hold a few people, others large enough to accommodate communal gatherings or storage of vast amounts of food and supplies. There are stables carved into the rock where animals could be sheltered safely alongside humans. Kitchens with carved niches for hearths suggest that meals could be prepared efficiently, and storage rooms are surprisingly abundant, reflecting the foresight of a population that had to plan for long periods of isolation. In some places, circular stone doors are found. These could be rolled into place to seal off sections of the city, providing security against intruders or enemies. These doors were massive, weighing hundreds of kilograms, and could be moved from the inside only, ensuring that anyone outside could not gain easy access. The engineering involved is remarkable. The passages are narrow and low in some areas, forcing movement in single file, which in itself was a defensive tactic. Ventilation shafts punctuate the ceilings and walls, often leading up to the surface in clever ways that allow fresh air to circulate through the city while remaining invisible to anyone above. These shafts are often hidden in plain sight among the natural landscape, disguised among rocks, or integrated into the design of the city so that it remained functional but undetectable. One of the most fascinating aspects of Kaymakli is its capacity. Scholars estimate that it could house several thousand people at a time, with figures ranging from 10,000 to 20,000 in the most optimistic calculations. While it is difficult to know exactly how many people lived in Kaymakli permanently versus those who took refuge temporarily, the scale alone is astonishing. Imagine tens of thousands of people moving through narrow tunnels, cooking meals in underground kitchens, storing water and grain, tending to animals in the stables, performing religious ceremonies in hidden chapels, all while remaining completely invisible from above. The city was essentially self-contained, with its own infrastructure for survival. Water was particularly important, and underground wells were dug to provide a steady supply. Food storage rooms were carefully ventilated to prevent spoilage. The presence of wine and oil presses suggests that production and consumption continued underground, and that life did not simply come to a halt when danger approached. Every element of daily life was considered, showing that Kaymakli was not just a temporary refuge, but a fully functioning community living under extraordinary circumstances. The religious life of Kaymakli is also noteworthy. Small chapels and churches carved into the rock indicate that spiritual practices were maintained even in hiding. Frescoes, altars, and cross-shaped niches show that faith remained central to the lives of the inhabitants. These sacred spaces were often hidden within the deeper levels, offering privacy and protection during times when religious communities were under threat. This further emphasizes that the underground city was not merely a practical refuge, but also a place where social, cultural, and spiritual life continued to thrive despite external pressures. One can imagine families quietly gathering in these dimly lit spaces, listening to the words of religious leaders, and maintaining their traditions while the world above was uncertain and dangerous. The construction techniques used in Kaymakli are subtle, but incredibly effective. The tough rock, soft when first excavated but hardening over time, allowed for precise shaping of tunnels and rooms. The walls were often smoothed, corners rounded, and spaces organized in a way that maximized stability and functionality. The floors and ceilings were carved to exact measurements to ensure that weight was distributed evenly, preventing collapses even under the pressure of multiple levels stacked on top of one another. The city's architects and builders had a deep understanding of their material, the forces at work underground, and the needs of their inhabitants. It is easy to overlook how impressive this is, given that there were no modern tools, no electricity, no machinery, only knowledge, skill, and patient labour. Exploring Kaymakli today is both exhilarating and slightly disorienting. The tunnels twist and turn unexpectedly. Some corridors slope steeply downward, others rise sharply, and small rooms appear and disappear almost like hidden chambers in a storybook. Ventilation shafts allow faint light to trickle in from above, creating shadows that play across the walls and emphasize the depth of the city. Archaeologists have found evidence of everyday items, pottery, cooking utensils, simple tools, and remnants of clothing, all of which help paint a vivid picture of life underground. Even without seeing the people themselves, one can feel their presence, as if the city still echoes with the activities, conversations, and struggles of those who once sought refuge in its depths. Kaymakli's proximity to Derinkuyu is also significant. While Derinkuyu is slightly larger and deeper, both cities share many similarities, suggesting that there may have been a network of underground settlements across the region. Some historians even speculate that tunnels could have connected the two cities, allowing safe travel between them without ever emerging above ground. If true, this would represent an even more extensive system, stretching across the Cappadocian landscape and providing an unparalleled level of protection for its inhabitants. This idea opens the imagination to incredible possibilities, whole communities moving, trading, and communicating in complete secrecy, hidden from armies, invaders, and natural threats above. Over centuries, the city of Kaymakli experienced periods of use, abandonment, and rediscovery. During peaceful times, it may have served as storage or temporary housing. During times of danger, it became a fortress of refuge. In the modern era, Kaymakli was gradually rediscovered and open to visitors, allowing people from all over the world to glimpse the ingenuity and courage of its creators. Today, tourists navigate the narrow tunnels, marvel at the ancient engineering, and attempt to imagine the lives of those who once called this underground labyrinth home. Despite the modern experience, it remains easy to sense the weight of history and the layers of human experience embedded in every carved stone. The stories of Kaymakli are not limited to its physical structure. Legends and local traditions speak of the courage, ingenuity, and resilience of the people who built and inhabited it. Tales of families surviving prolonged sieges, of hidden treasures, and of secret passages that remain undiscovered all contribute to the aura of mystery surrounding the city. Each tunnel and chamber carries a whisper of the past, and even today, archaeologists continue to uncover new aspects of the city, whether it's previously hidden rooms, artifacts, or passages that suggest the underground network was even more extensive than currently known. Kaymakli also provides important insights into the broader history of Cappadocia. The region has long been a crossroads of civilizations, cultures, and empires, from the Hittites and Persians to the Romans, Byzantines, and Ottomans. Its underground cities reflect this dynamic history, and demonstrate how human beings adapted creatively to the challenges of their environment. The cities were not built for luxury or display, they were built for survival, but in doing so they reveal an astonishing level of sophistication, foresight and organisation. They remind us that humans have always been capable of extraordinary feats of engineering and planning when driven by necessity. The scale and complexity of Kaymakli are especially impressive when one considers the limitations of the tools available at the time. Carving into rock without modern machinery required immense patience, skill and coordination. Workers would have had to remove large quantities of debris while simultaneously ensuring that the tunnels and rooms remained stable. Every corridor, staircase and chamber had to be carefully measured and aligned to maintain the structural integrity of the city. Mistakes could have been catastrophic, potentially leading to collapses or blockages that might trap inhabitants inside. Yet the city stands today, centuries later, as a testament to their success. The underground city also demonstrates a sophisticated understanding of human psychology and community dynamics. Narrow corridors and hidden rooms not only maximize security, but also controlled movement and interaction, creating spaces that were functional and efficient while minimizing risk during emergencies. Large communal areas allowed for coordination and communication, while smaller private spaces offered relief and privacy. Storage areas were strategically located to be accessible yet protected, ensuring that resources could be rationed and preserved. Even in the absence of written records, the layout of Kaymakli speaks volumes about the intelligence, planning, and adaptability of its creators. As one descends deeper into the city, the sense of isolation becomes palpable. The lower levels, in particular, evoke the experience of living in a world cut off from the sun, where life depended entirely on the ingenuity of humans and the careful management of resources. These depths were likely reserved for times of extreme danger, when the population had to survive for extended periods underground. Here, the interplay of light, shadow, and space creates an almost otherworldly atmosphere, giving visitors a tangible sense of the courage and resilience required to live in such conditions. The experience of moving through these passages, imagining the weight of hundreds or thousands of people living quietly beneath the earth, is both humbling and awe-inspiring. Kaymakli Underground City continues to be a focus of archaeological research. Scholars study its design, its construction methods, and the artifacts found within to better understand the social, economic, and cultural life of its inhabitants. Each new discovery adds depth to our understanding and raises new questions. How were the tunnels maintained over centuries? How did people organize communal life underground? Were there other cities in the region with similar or even greater complexity that have yet to be discovered? The city is not just a relic of the past, it is a living puzzle that continues to challenge historians, archaeologists, and visitors alike. Beyond its historical and architectural significance, Kaymakli also captivates the imagination because it reflects universal themes of human survival, adaptation, and community. It embodies the creativity and determination of people facing existential threats, showing that even in the harshest conditions, humans are capable of remarkable solutions. The city's design, its scale, and its longevity all contribute to a sense of wonder that transcends time and place, connecting modern visitors with the lived experiences of people who walked those tunnels centuries ago. The underground city is also a window into the broader environmental and cultural context of ancient Cappadocia. The people who built and lived in Kaymakli had to understand their surroundings in minute detail. They had to know where to dig to avoid collapses, how to manage water, how to store food safely, and how to create spaces that would support life in darkness. This deep connection with the land, combined with remarkable engineering skill, created a built environment that was fully integrated with its natural surroundings. The city's existence illustrates how human beings have long been able to manipulate and harmonize with their environment in ways that are both practical and visionary. Visitors to Kaymakli today often describe a sense of stepping into another world. The tunnels twist and turn in ways that challenge perception. Rooms appear unexpectedly, hidden staircases lead to spaces that seem out of reach, and ventilation shafts bring the faintest glimmers of light into otherwise dark passages. The city is a maze, but it is also a living museum, a record of human history carved in stone. Walking through it, one can almost feel the pulse of life that once moved through these corridors, hear the echo of footsteps, and sense the quiet conversations of people working, eating, praying, and surviving in this hidden world. Kaymakli underground city remains one of the best preserved and most extensively studied of the Cappadocian underground cities. Its intricate design, strategic planning, and impressive scale continue to attract scholars, adventurers, and tourists from around the globe. Yet, despite centuries of exploration and research, many of its secrets remain. Some rooms are blocked or inaccessible, tunnels disappear into darkness, and artifacts continue to be uncovered. The city is a testament to human ingenuity and resilience, a remarkable achievement that continues to inspire curiosity and wonder. The underground city also raises questions about the broader human story in Anatolia and beyond. How did these subterranean networks influence the development of nearby settlements? What role did they play in trade, communication, and defense? Were there other underground cities still hidden beneath the Cappadocian landscape, waiting to be discovered? Each question opens new avenues of exploration, highlighting the complexity and richness of human history in this region. As one imagines the life of those who lived in Kaymakli, the everyday realities come to life. Families would have gathered in small rooms, sharing warmth and stories. Children would have played in narrow corridors under the careful watch of adults. Meals were prepared over small fires, and water was drawn from wells carved into the rock. Livestock was tended in the stables, and food supplies were rationed carefully to ensure survival. The city was not merely a place of hiding, but a place of life, with routines, responsibilities, and moments of joy and hardship, all conducted beneath the surface of the earth. Kaymakli underground city is more than just an archaeological site. It is a monument to human creativity and survival. Its tunnels, rooms, and passages reflect centuries of adaptation, planning, and skill. The city's existence challenges modern assumptions about ancient technology and engineering, showing that human beings have always been capable of remarkable feats when faced with necessity. Each corridor and chamber is a testament to ingenuity, foresight, and the ability to transform natural landscapes into functional, protective, and enduring spaces. Even today, Kaymakli evokes a sense of mystery and wonder. It invites exploration, imagination, and reflection on the lives of those who once lived there. Its hidden corridors tell stories of danger, courage, and the day-to-day struggles of communities determined to survive. The interplay of light and shadow, the careful planning of spaces, and the ingenuity of its design continue to captivate visitors, making it one of the most extraordinary examples of underground architecture in the world. Kaymakli Underground City, with its multi-level design, expansive tunnels, hidden rooms, ventilation systems, and ingenious defensive features, is a remarkable testament to the creativity, resourcefulness, and resilience of humans in ancient times. Its continued study, exploration, and preservation allow modern generations to connect with a hidden world that was once alive with the activities, hopes, and fears of thousands of people. The city remains a vivid reminder of the extraordinary capabilities of human beings, a place where stone and imagination come together to create a living, breathing underground world full of secrets, history, and stories waiting to be discovered. The underground network of Kaymakli is not merely a marvel of construction, but also a symbol of the deep human need for safety, community, and continuity. Every level, passage, and room speaks to careful planning, an understanding of human needs, and an extraordinary ability to organize life in extreme circumstances. The city continues to draw attention not only for its scale and sophistication, but also for the glimpses it offers into ancient ways of life, the strategies employed to cope with threats, and the resilience of communities in times of crisis. Even as visitors move through the city today, their experience echoes that of its ancient inhabitants. The narrow tunnels limit movement, the cool darkness emphasizes silence, and the carved rooms hint at lives once lived with care, purpose, and a constant awareness of the dangers above. The architectural details, from stone doors to ventilation shafts, reveal a sophisticated understanding of both engineering and human behavior. This combination of practicality, foresight, and adaptation makes Kaymakli an extraordinary example of ancient ingenuity, one that continues to inspire awe and curiosity. Kaymakli Underground City also reflects the broader story of Cappadocia as a region of resilience, adaptation, and creativity. The soft volcanic rock, the unpredictable political landscape, and the cultural interactions of various civilizations combine to foster an environment in which such underground constructions were both necessary and possible. Chavin de Huantar in Peru is a place that immediately captures the imagination, a site that seems to reach deep into the layers of human history and the mysteries of early civilizations. Nestled high in the Andes Mountains, this archaeological site is remarkable not just for the monumental stone buildings and intricately carved figures that have survived the centuries, but for the hidden labyrinth that lies beneath the surface. Beneath the main plazas, the sunken courtyards, and the towering stone platforms, there exists a subterranean ritual complex that seems almost like a world beneath the world, a network of tunnels and chambers that was built for purposes that are still shrouded in mystery, but which clearly had great significance for the people who made it. The site itself is located in the Ancash region of northern Peru, perched along the confluence of the Mosna and Huachexa rivers. From the outside, it may seem like a series of stone structures arranged in ceremonial order, with plazas, stepped platforms, and temples dominating the landscape. The main temple, often referred to as the Old Temple or the Chavin Temple, rises in a stepped fashion, built from carefully cut granite and limestone blocks, with intricate carvings decorating the exterior. These carvings depict a fascinating mixture of human, animal, and supernatural forms, blending jaguars, eagles, snakes, and mythical figures into swirling patterns that suggest movement, transformation, and a deep connection to the spiritual world. But if one only looks at the visible structures, one only sees part of the story. The true marvel lies beneath, hidden from casual observation, where the builders of Chavin created an elaborate subterranean system of galleries, passageways, and ritual chambers. These underground tunnels are not mere storage spaces or simple corridors. They are carefully designed spaces sculpted from stone with precise attention to detail. The walls of these tunnels are often lined with carved figures, and the floors are laid out to direct movement and sound in specific ways. The passages twist and turn, sometimes narrowing to just enough space for a single person to squeeze through, other times opening into larger chambers that feel almost like small cathedrals carved from living rock. There are evidence of acoustical engineering within the subterranean complex. Certain stone channels, depressions, and strategically placed openings amplify sounds or create reverberations, suggesting that sound played a significant role in the rituals conducted here. A chant, a drum beat, or the sound of a conch shell could echo and resonate through the tunnels in ways that would have seemed magical or otherworldly to those who participated in the ceremonies. This careful manipulation of sound indicates a sophisticated understanding of the physical properties of stone and space, revealing that the Chavin people were not only skilled builders, but also keen observers of the effects of architecture on the human senses. The tunnels themselves are fascinating in their design. Some passages run in straight lines, while others curve, often leading to small hidden chambers. There are steps carved directly into the stone in some areas, while other passages maintain a consistent height and width. Some of the tunnels appear intentionally narrow, forcing those who enter to bow or stoop, creating a sense of compression, and perhaps inducing a psychological response during rituals. In other areas, the tunnels widen dramatically, opening into larger ceremonial spaces where groups of participants may have gathered. The effect of moving from tight, narrow passages into open chambers would have been dramatic, creating a sense of transition from one state of being to another, from the ordinary world to a sacred or liminal space. This movement through different spatial configurations may have been a central part of the ritual experience, guiding participants on a journey that was both physical and spiritual. One of the most intriguing aspects of the subterranean complex is the presence of carved stone figures within the tunnels. Among the carvings are representations of jaguars, snakes, and other animals, often combined with human features in composite beings. These images may have had symbolic meaning, representing deities, spirits, or forces of nature that were central to Chavin cosmology. The jaguar, for instance, appears repeatedly in Chavin art, often depicted with fangs and claws in a stance of power and transformation. In the tunnels, jaguar motifs may have served a dual purpose, marking sacred spaces and reinforcing the spiritual atmosphere of the rituals conducted below. The presence of snake motifs, often winding along the walls or emerging from the floors, could symbolize the connection between the underworld, the earth, and the spiritual realms above. These symbolic images, carved directly into the stone, created a setting that was immersive, surrounding participants with visual cues that reinforced the themes of power, transformation, and communion with the divine. The use of water within the tunnels also appears significant. Channels carved into the stone floors suggest that water could flow through certain areas of the complex, perhaps as part of purification rituals or as a symbolic representation of rivers, life, and fertility. The sound of water moving through the channels would have added to the sensory experience of the underground chambers, complementing the echoes and reverberations created by the architecture. The interplay of water, sound, and carved imagery would have made the subterranean complex a dynamic, multisensory environment far removed from the ordinary world above. This complexity hints at a culture deeply attuned to the ways in which physical spaces could influence perception, consciousness, and the experience of the sacred. In addition to the visual and acoustic features, the tunnels contain evidence of spaces that may have been used for meditation, offerings, or other ritual activities. Small niches and alcoves carved into the walls could have held sacred objects, idols, or other ceremonial items. Certain chambers appear to have been designed to accommodate groups of participants, perhaps for collective rites or ceremonies that involve chanting, drumming, or other ritual practices. The layout of the tunnels suggests that movement through the complex was intentional, guiding participants along a ritual path that was both symbolic and experiential. This careful planning indicates that the Chavin people possessed not only technical skill in stone carving, but also a sophisticated understanding of the psychological and spiritual dimensions of ritual practice. The origin and purpose of the subterranean complex are still topics of debate among scholars and archaeologists. Chavin de Huantar flourished between approximately 950 and 275 years before the Common Era, a period during which it became a central hub for religious activity in the northern Andes. The site appears to have attracted pilgrims from a wide area, who came to participate in ceremonies and to commune with the deities represented in the carvings and imagery. The underground tunnels may have served as a space for initiation, transformation, or other specialized rituals that were central to the Chavin religious system. While the precise nature of these rituals remains unknown, the complexity and care invested in the construction of the tunnels suggest that they were integral to the spiritual life of the community. One remarkable aspect of the Chavin subterranean system is how it integrates with the visible architecture above. The tunnels are not isolated. They connect with plazas, courtyards, and temples, creating a layered experience that spans from the surface into the depths of the earth. Participants moving through the site would have been guided from open ceremonial spaces into enclosed hidden chambers, perhaps following a path that mirrored cosmological concepts of descent into the underworld and emergence into the sacred world of the gods. The alignment of certain tunnels and chambers with natural features, such as water channels and the contours of the landscape, further suggests a deliberate integration of architecture with the environment. This careful attention to spatial and environmental factors underscores the sophistication of Chavin planning and their understanding of the interplay between human-built structures and natural forces. Archaeological studies have revealed that some of the tunnels were carved with great precision, using tools that allowed the builders to shape granite and limestone with remarkable skill. The methods of construction demonstrate knowledge of engineering principles, particularly in managing the structural stability of underground chambers and passages. The tunnels often intersect, creating a network of pathways that could have been used to guide movement, control access, or create a sense of journey or discovery. The careful arrangement of intersections and chambers suggests that the experience of moving through the subterranean complex was deliberate, designed to evoke particular emotions or states of mind. The act of entering, navigating, and emerging from the tunnels may have been a transformative experience, reinforcing social, religious, or spiritual hierarchies and practices within the Chavin culture. Lighting within the tunnels would also have played a significant role in shaping the experience. While the natural illumination from openings or slits in the stone may have provided some light, it is likely that torches, lamps, or other sources were used to enhance visibility and create dramatic effects. The flickering light on the carved walls would have brought the animal and supernatural motifs to life, animating the imagery in ways that could heighten the spiritual or psychological impact of the rituals. Shadows cast by participants, combined with the echoes of sound and the movement through the space, would have created a dynamic, immersive environment unlike anything experienced above ground. This interplay of light, shadow, sound, and space reflects a complex understanding of sensory perception and the ways in which architecture can shape experience. The tunnels at Chavin de Huantar have also been associated with the use of psychoactive plants or substances, although the evidence is subject to ongoing study and debate. Some researchers suggest that certain rituals may have involved altered states of consciousness, achieved through the use of hallucinogenic plants, which could have been enhanced by the dramatic environment of the underground passages. The combination of visual motifs, acoustics, controlled movement, and possibly psychoactive experiences would have created a multi-layered sensory and spiritual journey, emphasizing transformation, communion with deities, and the negotiation of social and spiritual hierarchies. This suggests that the Chavin culture had a sophisticated understanding not only of architecture and symbolism, but also of the ways in which the human mind responds to environmental stimuli. The construction of the subterranean tunnels would have required significant organization, labor, and planning. Carving stone is a slow, painstaking process, and creating interconnected passageways with chambers, water channels, and acoustical features would have demanded coordination among skilled workers. The effort involved indicates that the tunnels were a central focus of the community, valued for their spiritual, social, and perhaps political importance. The labor investment may also reflect the presence of specialized knowledge within the society, with certain individuals or groups responsible for the design, carving, and maintenance of these sacred spaces. This level of specialization highlights the complexity of Chavin society and the central role of ritual and religious practice in shaping community life. Excavations have revealed that the subterranean complex was used over a long period, with evidence of modifications, repairs, and additions made over centuries. The longevity of use suggests that the tunnels remained central to religious and ceremonial life, even as other aspects of the site evolved. Pilgrims may have travelled great distances to enter the tunnels, following carefully prescribed routes and participating in rituals that were both highly structured and deeply meaningful. The persistence of use over centuries also underscores the significance of the underground space as a site of memory, tradition, and spiritual authority within the Chavin cultural sphere. The Chavin subterranean complex has captivated scholars, archaeologists, and visitors for decades. Its mystery lies not only in its hidden nature, but also in the depth of knowledge and intentionality required to construct it. Every passage, chamber, and carving speaks to a culture deeply engaged with the spiritual, social, and environmental dimensions of life. The tunnels are a testament to the human capacity for creativity, organization, and symbolic thinking, revealing a civilization that could manipulate stone, sound, light, and space to create profound experiences that transcended the ordinary. Even today, as researchers continue to study the site, new discoveries within the tunnels shed light on ancient practices, while leaving other questions unanswered, allowing the subterranean complex to retain its aura of mystery and wonder. The experience of entering Chavin de Huantar, moving through its sunlit plazas, and descending into the shadowy depths of the tunnels offers a journey into a world where the lines between the material and spiritual, the visible and hidden, are blurred, inviting endless fascination and exploration. The tunnels themselves stretch for hundreds of meters beneath the ceremonial center, a labyrinth that was clearly meant to be navigated with intention. The way the passages twist and turn, sometimes opening into wider chambers and other times narrowing to almost claustrophobic dimensions, suggests a carefully choreographed experience. The journey through the subterranean network may have symbolized a descent into the spiritual underworld or a passage from the ordinary world into the sacred realm. Each step, each turn, and each chamber could have been laden with meaning, signaling stages of initiation or steps in a ritual progression that guided participants through a transformative experience. The psychological impact of the tunnels would have been immense, particularly in combination with the flickering torchlight, the echoing sounds, and the sensory stimulation provided by water channels and carved imagery. Some of the chambers within the tunnels appear to have been designed for specific types of rituals, perhaps involving offerings or other ceremonial objects. The niches carved into the walls, the depressions in the floors, and the channels for water all point to a sophisticated understanding of ritual practice and the importance of manipulating the environment to achieve spiritual or psychological effects. The tunnels themselves act as instruments, shaping the experience of those who enter them in ways that extend beyond the purely physical. The use of narrow passages, sudden openings, and echoing chambers would have created a dynamic, immersive journey, reinforcing the spiritual and symbolic significance of the rituals conducted within. The role of acoustics cannot be overstated. Certain tunnels were deliberately designed to amplify sounds, creating echoes or resonances that would have seemed supernatural or otherworldly to participants. The sound of chanting, drumming, or blowing conch shells could reverberate throughout the subterranean network, filling chambers with a rich, haunting auditory experience. The interplay between sound and space would have enhanced the ritual, intensifying emotions, altering perception, and reinforcing the transformative power of the ceremonies. The combination of visual, auditory, and tactile experiences within the tunnels demonstrates a holistic approach to ritual practice, one in which the environment itself is an active participant in the spiritual journey. The carvings within the tunnels are not merely decorative, they are imbued with meaning and symbolism. Anthropomorphic and zoomorphic figures dominate the walls, depicting a world where human and animal forms merge in complex transformative ways. The jaguar, a recurrent figure in Chavin art, is often depicted in dynamic poses, emphasizing its power and dominance. Serpentine forms twist along walls and floors, perhaps symbolizing the flow of life, energy, or spiritual forces. The presence of such motifs in the subterranean chambers suggests that the tunnels were spaces where participants could engage directly with the symbolic universe of Chavin cosmology. Moving through these spaces surrounded by images of powerful animals and mythical beings would have been an intense, immersive experience, reinforcing the spiritual and transformative nature of the rituals performed there. Even the integration of water into the tunnels reflects a sophisticated understanding of both symbolism and environment. Channels carved to guide the flow of water through chambers would have produced sound, movement, and a visual element that complemented the carved imagery and acoustics. Water may have been used in purification rites, as a symbolic representation of rivers, or as a dynamic element that brought the chambers to life. The sensory combination of water, echoing sound, carved imagery, and the physical act of moving through space would have created a deeply immersive ritual environment, demonstrating the Chavin understanding of the ways in which the physical world could be shaped to enhance spiritual experience. The design of the subterranean complex suggests a high degree of planning and coordination. Constructing tunnels in solid stone, incorporating chambers, acoustics, water channels, and intricate carvings required not only technical skill, but also careful conceptual planning. The tunnels are a testament to the ingenuity, patience, and organization of the Chavin builders, reflecting a culture capable of complex architectural and ritual innovations. The fact that these structures have survived for more than 2,000 years speaks to their durability and the sophistication of their construction methods. Scholars continue to debate the full meaning and function of the subterranean complex. While its role in ritual activity is clear, the specifics of how the tunnels were used, the nature of the ceremonies performed, and the experiences of the participants remain open to interpretation. Archaeological evidence provides clues, but the full spiritual and symbolic significance of the tunnels may never be fully known. Yet each discovery adds depth to our understanding, revealing a culture that invested immense effort and ingenuity into creating spaces that could shape human experience, communicate symbolic meaning, and connect the earthly and spiritual realms. The experience of moving through the tunnels would have been highly structured, possibly following ritual pathways that guided participants through a carefully orchestrated journey. The narrow passages, sudden openings, echoing chambers, carved imagery, and flowing water all contributed to a multi-sensory experience designed to evoke particular emotions, states of consciousness, or spiritual insights. The subterranean complex can be seen as a physical manifestation of Chavin cosmology, a built environment that allowed participants to engage directly with the symbolic and spiritual world of their culture. Even today, as visitors explore Chavin de Huantar and descend into the tunnels, the sense of wonder, mystery, and awe is palpable. The underground chambers, with their carvings, acoustics, and flowing water, create an atmosphere that transcends time, allowing modern observers to glimpse the ingenuity, devotion, and spiritual sophistication of a civilization that flourished more than 2,000 years ago. The tunnels are not merely historical artifacts. They are a testament to the human capacity to shape environment, perception, and experience in pursuit of understanding, connection, and transcendence, offering a journey into a hidden world that continues to inspire curiosity, exploration, and fascination. The subterranean network is an intricate combination of narrow corridors, larger ceremonial chambers, water channels, and carved imagery, all designed to guide and influence the movement, perception, and experience of those who entered. The twisting passages and carefully planned intersections create a sense of journey, anticipation, and transformation, while the carvings, acoustics, and environmental features contribute to a multi-sensory ritual experience. The tunnels themselves are a form of architecture that communicates, instructs, and transforms, embodying the beliefs, values, and spiritual understanding of the Chavin people. As one moves through the tunnels, the effects of space, sound, and light combine in ways that engage the senses, alter perception, and reinforce the sacred character of the journey. The narrow passages, sudden openings, echoing chambers, and carefully carved imagery all work together to create a sense of transformation, passage, and spiritual engagement. The subterranean complex is a physical manifestation of Chavin cosmology, offering participants a tangible way to move through and experience the symbolic and spiritual universe that shaped their world. Every aspect of the subterranean complex, from the acoustics to the carvings, from the water channels to the spatial layout, demonstrates the careful planning and profound understanding of the Chavin builders. The tunnels are more than passages. They are instruments for shaping perception, guiding ritual, and connecting participants with the spiritual dimensions of their culture. Moving through the tunnels, participants would have been immersed in a world that combined art, architecture, nature, and ritual into a cohesive, transformative experience, reflecting a sophisticated approach to the construction of sacred space. The tunnels of Chavin de Huantar remain a source of fascination and study. They reveal a culture capable of manipulating the physical environment to achieve spiritual, psychological, and social effects, demonstrating ingenuity, technical skill, and deep symbolic understanding. The network of subterranean passages, chambers, and ritual features offers a glimpse into a civilization that understood the power of space, sound, and imagery to shape human experience, leaving a legacy that continues to intrigue, inspire, and challenge modern scholars and visitors alike. Ozkonak Underground City, located in the heart of the Cappadocia region of Turkey, is one of those rare places on Earth that seems almost impossible at first glance, and yet it stands as a true testament to human ingenuity, persistence, and the extraordinary lengths people have gone to protect themselves, communicate, and survive over the centuries. Nestled in a region already famous for its otherworldly rock formations, fairy chimneys, and a landscape that looks as though it were painted by the hand of a dreamer with a fascination for the unusual, Ozkonak is one of the less widely known underground cities compared to its famous neighbour, Derinkuyu. But it is no less fascinating, intricate, or remarkable in the way it demonstrates the careful and detailed planning of its builders. The city lies beneath the surface, carved into the soft volcanic tuff that forms much of Cappadocia's distinctive scenery, the kind of rock that is surprisingly easy to shape when freshly quarried, but which becomes firm and durable once exposed to air. This is precisely why ancient peoples in this region were able to carve not just small shelters or single caves, but entire labyrinths that extend for many levels beneath the ground, a hidden network that could host communities for long periods without exposure to the dangers of the surface. Ozkonak, like many other underground cities in Cappadocia, was created with both defensive and practical purposes in mind. Those who lived here needed to survive harsh weather, attacks from invaders, and the simple unpredictability of life in a region that has seen countless waves of migration, conquest, and settlement over thousands of years. From the moment one approaches Ozkonak, the sheer cleverness of its design becomes apparent. The city is not just a series of rooms dug into the earth. It is a fully functioning underground settlement, complete with tunnels, ventilation systems, and an ingenious pipe system that allowed communication between different levels and sections. The tunnels themselves are narrow and winding, carefully constructed to prevent invaders from moving quickly or using brute force to storm through the city. Each passageway is low and constricted, meaning that intruders would have to proceed cautiously, often in single file, while the residents, familiar with the layout, could maneuver with ease. Some of the tunnels were built in such a way that rolling stones could be set in place to block passages in case of an attack, creating immediate obstacles that slowed down anyone trying to invade. The very walls of these tunnels were not just functional, they reflected a deep understanding of geometry and human movement. designed to maximize safety and security while maintaining ease of access for those who knew the secret paths. The ventilation systems at Ozkonak are another aspect that showcases the ingenuity of its creators. In a city carved deep into the earth, fresh air is vital for survival, particularly if hundreds or even thousands of people were living underground for weeks or months at a time. The air shafts at Ozkonak extend upward and outward, sometimes appearing on the surface in unobtrusive locations, camouflaged among rocks and terrain, allowing fresh air to flow throughout the city's many chambers. These shafts are carefully angled and positioned, taking advantage of natural air currents and temperature differences to ensure that even the lowest levels receive sufficient oxygen. Without such systems, life underground would quickly become unbearable, especially when considering the number of animals, people, and stored food that the city could accommodate. Some air shafts are narrow and hidden, making them difficult to detect from above, while others are wider and more strategically placed to ensure maximum airflow. The placement of these shafts reflects not just engineering skill, but also a sophisticated understanding of natural principles, showing that those who built Ozkonak were keen observers of the environment around them and knew how to harness it to their advantage. Equally fascinating is the communications pipe system that Ozkonak contains, an unusual feature that distinguishes it from many other underground cities in the region. These pipes, carved into the rock and running between different levels and areas, were designed to allow messages to be passed quickly and efficiently from one part of the city to another. In a labyrinthine structure where sound from the surface might not carry well, and where tunnels could stretch for hundreds of meters in multiple directions, having a reliable method to communicate across levels was vital. The exact methods used are still a subject of study, but some historians and archaeologists suggest that small objects or messages could be sent through the pipes, allowing inhabitants to alert one another to danger, organize daily tasks, or coordinate movements without the need to travel long distances through the tunnels. It is a subtle but ingenious form of early communication technology, demonstrating the cleverness of human problem-solving long before modern inventions such as telegraphs, telephones, or even written notices became common. Ozkonak Underground City is made up of multiple levels, each connected by these tunnels and systems. While the exact number of levels is debated, it is clear that the city was extensive and capable of accommodating a significant number of people, along with their animals and essential supplies. Rooms for living, storage areas for food and water, and communal spaces for cooking, gathering, and worship were all carved into the earth. There were likely areas reserved for livestock, essential for maintaining a steady food supply, and ensuring that the inhabitants could survive during times when leaving the city was impossible due to external threats. Storage areas were often located strategically to maintain cool temperatures and to prevent spoilage, showing a sophisticated understanding of environmental conditions underground. Some of the rooms were quite small and intimate, perhaps used for individual families or small groups, while others were larger, meant for gatherings, religious activities, or strategic meetings. This mixture of personal and communal spaces indicates a society that, while living in secrecy and under constant threat, maintained a sense of community and structure within the underground environment. The tunnels themselves are fascinating in how they are constructed to maximize both space and safety. Some are narrow and low, forcing anyone moving through them to bend down or crouch, while others are taller, allowing for easier movement of goods or animals. The walls often contain niches or alcoves, which could have been used to store small objects, lamps, or weapons. In some cases, the floors are carefully leveled, and certain sections are reinforced to prevent collapse, showing a detailed attention to the long-term durability of the city. Carvings in the walls and subtle markings may have served as guides or indicators, helping inhabitants navigate the complex network and find their way to specific rooms or exits. Every aspect of the tunnels, from their curvature to their width, reflects an intentional design aimed at both functionality and security. What makes Ozkonak particularly unique is the way it combines multiple systems, tunnels, ventilation, and communication into a single, integrated structure. While many underground cities of Cappadocia relied solely on tunnels and rooms for defense and survival, Ozkonak went a step further, demonstrating an advanced understanding of both engineering and human needs. The communication pipes, in particular, highlight a level of foresight rarely seen in other ancient underground settlements, allowing inhabitants to maintain organization, respond to threats quickly, and ensure that information could flow even when physical movement was restricted. This combination of features illustrates a careful balance between secrecy, safety, and functionality, showing that the creators of Ozkonak were thinking not just about immediate survival, but about the long-term sustainability of life underground. The history of Ozkonak, like that of many underground cities in Cappadocia, is intertwined with the turbulent history of the region. Cappadocia has been a crossroads of civilizations for thousands of years, witnessing waves of Hittites, Persians, Greeks, Romans, Byzantines, Seljuks, and Ottomans, among others. The need for secure places to hide and live safely during times of conflict was constant, and the underground cities provided a solution unlike any other. While precise dates for the construction of Ozkonak are difficult to establish, it is widely believed that the city was built and expanded over many centuries, with significant developments occurring during the Byzantine era, roughly between the 4th century and the 11th century. This period saw frequent invasions and religious conflicts, including the Arab-Byzantine Wars, during which local populations sought refuge underground to avoid attacks and maintain their communities. The city's design reflects this long history of adaptation and expansion, with each generation likely adding new tunnels, chambers, and systems to meet changing needs and respond to evolving threats. Archaeologists studying Ozkonak have noted the city's remarkable similarities to other underground cities in the region, while also emphasizing its unique features. The tunnels, for instance, are narrower and more winding than those in Derinkuyu, a design choice that likely enhanced the city's defensive capabilities. The ventilation system is more sophisticated in some areas, ensuring a steady flow of fresh air even deep underground. And the communication pipe system is not commonly found elsewhere, suggesting a level of innovation and adaptation that was highly advanced for its time. These elements collectively show that Ozkonak was not a static settlement, but a living, evolving community, constantly refined and improved to meet the needs of its inhabitants. One of the most remarkable aspects of Ozkonak is the scale of the effort involved in its construction. Carving a multi-level city into solid rock is no small task. It required not only physical strength and endurance, but also knowledge of geology, engineering, and architecture. The builders had to understand the structural integrity of the tuff, determining how much material could be removed without causing collapse. They had to design ventilation shafts that would remain effective over long periods, taking into account changes in temperature, pressure, and air movement. They had to create tunnels and communication systems that were functional, secure, and easy to navigate. And they had to do all of this using only the tools available at the time, which were likely simple chisels, hammers, and other basic implements. The result is a city that is not only functional, but also elegant in its practicality, demonstrating a level of skill and foresight that is breathtaking even by modern standards. Inside Ozkonak, one can still see evidence of the daily lives of those who once called the underground city home. Rooms are carved with care, some featuring niches for lamps, storage, or seating. Certain chambers may have been used for religious purposes, suggesting that spiritual life continued even deep underground. There are spaces that seem designed for communal cooking or socializing, showing that life beneath the surface was not purely about survival, but also about maintaining a sense of normalcy and community. In some areas, the floors are worn smooth, evidence of centuries of use, while in others, delicate carvings hint at the aesthetic sensibilities of the inhabitants. Every chamber and passage tells a story of human ingenuity, resilience, and adaptation, allowing modern visitors to imagine what life might have been like for families living far from the sunlight above. Ozkonak is also significant because it provides insights into the broader culture and society of ancient Cappadocia. The way the city is structured, with private and communal spaces, storage areas, and defensive features, suggests a community that was organized, cooperative, and strategic. The existence of communication systems and ventilation shafts implies planning and foresight, indicating that the inhabitants were not merely reacting to immediate threats but were thinking ahead to long-term survival. The integration of these systems demonstrates a sophisticated understanding of environmental management and human needs, highlighting the intelligence and adaptability of the people who built and lived in the underground city. While the exact population of Ozkonak at its peak is uncertain, it is clear that it could support a considerable number of inhabitants. Estimates vary, but some archaeologists suggest that thousands of people could live in the city simultaneously, along with their livestock and essential supplies. This capacity required careful planning in terms of food storage, water access, air circulation, and waste management, all of which are reflected in the city's design. The presence of long, narrow tunnels, strategic doorways, and defensive features further underscores the need for careful organization, ensuring that the city could function efficiently even under duress. The very fact that such an extensive underground settlement could exist for centuries speaks volumes about the ingenuity and resourcefulness of its creators. Ozkonak Underground City continues to captivate historians, archaeologists, and visitors alike, because it is a living testament to the creativity, resilience, and ingenuity of humans in the face of adversity. It is a place where engineering meets survival, where strategic thinking meets daily life, and where the natural environment has been transformed into a hidden sanctuary. Every tunnel, shaft, and chamber reflects careful planning, clever problem-solving, and an intimate understanding of the challenges of life underground. From the intricate ventilation systems that allow fresh air to reach the deepest levels, to the communication pipes that enable messages to flow across the city, to the defensive features that protect inhabitants from outside threats, Ozkonak is a marvel of human adaptation and ingenuity. The city also provides a fascinating window into the history of the region. Cappadocia has long been a crossroads of civilizations, each leaving its mark on the land and its people. Ozkonak, like other underground cities, was shaped by centuries of conflict, migration, and cultural exchange. The tunnels and chambers bear witness to the daily struggles and triumphs of those who sought safety, community, and continuity in a region often marked by turmoil. Every feature of the city, from its narrow passageways to its hidden shafts, tells a story of adaptation, resilience, and human creativity, offering modern visitors a glimpse into a world that is both alien and deeply human. A world where survival, ingenuity, and cooperation intertwined in remarkable ways. Walking through Ozkonak today, it is impossible not to marvel at the scale and complexity of the city. The tunnels twist and turn, sometimes opening into wide chambers, sometimes narrowing into passages that require careful maneuvering. The ventilation shafts rise like invisible lifelines, ensuring that the air remains fresh even at the deepest levels. The communication pipes, hidden from sight, whisper of a sophisticated system of organization that allowed the city to function smoothly even under pressure. Every corner, niche, and chamber speaks to the intelligence, planning, and adaptability of the people who built it, a silent reminder of the extraordinary lengths humans will go to ensure survival and maintain a sense of community. The sheer physicality of the city is also striking. Carving out such an extensive network of tunnels and rooms required immense effort, with workers chipping away at rock using simple tools, carefully removing debris and shaping spaces to be both functional and durable. The attention to detail is evident in the way the walls are smoothed, the floors are leveled, and the spaces are designed to accommodate human activity, animals, and storage. Even minor features such as small alcoves or ledges reveal thoughtful planning, showing that every inch of the underground city was considered and utilized. The integration of functional systems such as ventilation and communication into the very fabric of the city highlights a remarkable level of foresight and engineering skill, demonstrating that Ozkonak was more than a refuge. It was a fully realized underground community. Moreover, Ozkonak is part of a larger network of underground cities in Cappadocia, many of which are interconnected or share similar architectural and engineering features. This network reflects a broader cultural and technological tradition in the region, one that prized secrecy, security, and resourcefulness. The similarities between Ozkonak and other cities, combined with its unique features, suggest that knowledge and techniques were shared, adapted, and refined over generations. The city is thus not only an archaeological treasure, but also a testament to the ingenuity and adaptability of human societies in this remarkable part of the world. Visiting Ozkonak, one can also imagine the social and psychological aspects of life underground. The inhabitants were forced to live in close quarters, sharing limited space, air, and resources, yet they managed to maintain social structures, communication systems, and even spaces for leisure or worship. The city's design reflects a delicate balance between privacy and communal living, security and accessibility, immediate survival and long-term planning. These aspects give us a deeper understanding of the human experience, showing that even in the most challenging environments, people sought not just to survive, but to create a sense of order, community, and normalcy. The city is also an educational resource for understanding ancient technologies and methods. The ventilation shafts, for example, demonstrate principles of airflow and environmental control that are still relevant today, while the communication pipe system reflects early innovations in the transmission of information. Archaeologists and engineers can study these features to gain insights into how ancient peoples solved complex problems with limited tools, relying on observation, experimentation, and clever design to meet their needs. Every aspect of Ozkonak provides lessons in ingenuity, problem-solving, and adaptation, illustrating the remarkable capabilities of human minds when faced with challenging circumstances. Even today, Ozkonak Underground City continues to inspire wonder and curiosity. It stands as a tangible connection to the past, a place where history, engineering, and human resilience intersect. Visitors walking through the tunnels can almost feel the presence of those who once inhabited the city, imagining families cooking, children playing, and neighbors communicating through hidden pipes, while the world above raged with conflict or uncertainty. The city is a reminder of the lengths humans will go to create safety, community, and a sense of permanence in an ever-changing world, highlighting both the fragility and the strength of human life. Ozkonak also contributes to our understanding of the broader history of Cappadocia and the ancient civilizations that shaped the region. Each tunnel, chamber, and feature adds a piece to the puzzle of how people lived, interacted, and survived over centuries of political, social, and environmental change. The city's design reflects not only practical needs, but also cultural values, priorities, and innovations, offering a window into the daily lives of people who existed in a world very different from our own, yet faced challenges that resonate even today. The artistic and aesthetic elements of Ozkonak, though subtle, also deserve attention. While primarily designed for function and survival, some rooms display delicate workmanship, careful shaping, and attention to detail that suggest a sense of pride, identity, and perhaps even spiritual or cultural significance. These touches remind us that even in conditions of extreme necessity, humans seek to express themselves, to create environments that are not only livable, but meaningful. This duality of purpose, functionality paired with subtle artistry, adds yet another layer of fascination to the city, revealing the depth and complexity of the people who built and inhabited it. Every visit to Ozkonak is a journey through layers of history, engineering, and human experience. The city invites exploration, discovery, and reflection, encouraging visitors to consider not just the physical feat of carving such a place from the earth, but also the human stories embedded in its walls. Families seeking refuge, communities organizing for defense, people adapting to life in confined spaces. All of these experiences are etched into the stone, waiting to be imagined, understood, and appreciated. The combination of tunnels, ventilation systems, and communication pipes continues to spark curiosity and admiration, reminding us of the ingenuity and resourcefulness that define human history in Cappadocia and beyond. The scale, complexity, and integration of Ozkonak Underground City continue to captivate the imagination. It is a place where survival strategies, community life, engineering skill, and ingenuity converge in an intricate subterranean world. The tunnels twist and stretch. Air flows through shafts carefully positioned to reach the farthest corners, and communication systems allow coordination across levels that might otherwise feel isolated. In every passage, chamber, and shaft, one can sense the careful thought and effort that went into creating a city that could endure, function, and protect its inhabitants across generations. Even in modern times, Ozkonak serves as a profound example of human adaptation. It challenges our perceptions of what is possible, revealing that people in the past were capable of remarkable feats of engineering, organization, and foresight. Beneath the sun-baked hills of the Greek island of Samos, among the rugged slopes and the whispers of the Aegean Sea that roll across the landscape, there exists a marvel that has defied time for over 2,500 years. It is known as the Tunnel of Eupalinos, a creation so extraordinary that it continues to amaze engineers, historians, and travelers alike, not only for its age but for the remarkable ingenuity and skill that its construction demanded. This tunnel, an ancient aqueduct that stretches approximately 1,036 meters in length, was dug during the 6th century before the Common Era, a time when the islands of Greece were alive with city-states emerging in strength, culture, and complexity, and when architecture and engineering began to show human ingenuity reaching heights previously thought unimaginable. The tunnel of Eupalinos was not just a passage through rock, it was a lifeline, a carefully thought-out system designed to carry water, to sustain life, and to reflect the intelligence of a civilization that was determined to conquer nature, not through force, but through thought, calculation, and vision. The mind behind this ancient wonder, Eupalinos, was a man whose name has echoed through the millennia because of this remarkable project. Little is known about the man himself, yet his work speaks across the ages. In a time long before modern machinery, before explosives, before even the simplest drills that might make excavation easier, Eupalinos and his team relied on human labour, basic tools of iron and bronze, and above all precise mathematical thinking to achieve what must have seemed impossible. The tunnel was designed as an aqueduct, a means of transporting water from one side of a mountain to another, supplying the ancient city of Samos with fresh water from distant springs. Its construction reflects a deep understanding of geometry, measurement and surveying, demonstrating that the ancients were not merely dreamers, but careful planners who could transform vision into reality through methodical steps, rigorous calculation, and relentless human effort. The tunnel of Eupalinos is remarkable not only because of its length, but because of the manner in which it was excavated. The builders began digging from both ends of the mountain simultaneously, a technique that required careful measurement to ensure that the two ends would eventually meet in the middle. Considering that this was done over 2,500 years ago, long before laser guides, survey equipment, or even a standard unit of measurement as we know it today, the precision with which the two tunnels aligned is astounding. The two teams, starting from opposite sides, had only basic sighting tools and simple knowledge of angles and slopes, yet when the tunnels finally connected, they did so with nearly perfect alignment, a testimony to the meticulous planning and understanding of geometry that must have been involved. The work would have demanded constant calculation, careful observation, and the unwavering commitment of labourers who spent countless hours chipping away at solid rock, breaking stones with hammers and chisels, and slowly creating a passage that would last for millennia. The tunnel itself is a marvel of engineering, not merely because it penetrates the mountain, but because it demonstrates an understanding of functional design that is surprisingly sophisticated for its age. Its width and height were carefully measured to allow the passage of workers, the flow of water, and to maintain structural integrity. The builders understood that tunnels carved into rock could collapse, if not properly supported, and so the dimensions and the angles of the walls, ceilings and floor were carefully considered. Moreover, the tunnel was constructed with a slight incline, allowing water to flow naturally from the source to the city below. This gradient had to be just right. Too steep, and the water would flow too quickly, potentially causing damage or erosion. Too shallow, and the water might stagnate or fail to reach its destination. The precision of this incline shows not only technical skill, but also careful observation of natural forces, an awareness of hydrodynamics in its simplest form, and a deep respect for the power of nature that could not be ignored even by the most determined engineers of the ancient world. Along the length of the tunnel, one can observe the marks of the workers' effort, the rough textures of the chiselled stone, and the uneven surfaces that speak of human hands labouring in darkness, with nothing more than torches to illuminate their path. These marks are a reminder that this was not the work of a single person, but of a team of many, all coordinated and guided by the vision of Eupalinos. The construction would have required an organised workforce, not only for the physical labour, but also to manage tools, remove debris, and maintain the safety of the passage as it slowly advanced into the mountain. One can imagine the echoes of chisels striking rock, the sweat of men in the darkness, and the careful communication between the teams at either end, each step forward a small victory against the seemingly immovable mass of stone. The tunnel is a testament to human perseverance, a physical narrative of determination, skill, and the extraordinary lengths to which humans have gone to secure water, the essence of life, for their communities. Another aspect of the tunnel's brilliance lies in the methods used to ensure the two sides would meet accurately. Eupalinos reportedly employed a combination of geometrical insight and practical trial and error, possibly using vertical shafts to guide the excavation and to check alignment along the path. These vertical shafts, sunk from the surface to the tunnel level, may have served multiple purposes: to provide ventilation for workers, to allow removal of excavated material, and to offer reference points for surveying the tunnel's route. These shafts would have been crucial in ensuring the overall alignment of the tunnel, providing visual markers and relief from the claustrophobic environment below. The very idea that humans could calculate direction and slope so accurately without modern instruments is staggering, reflecting an intellect capable of abstract thought, combined with a practical understanding of the physical world. The tunnel's role as an aqueduct makes it an essential part of understanding the daily life of ancient Samos. Water, even today, is the lifeblood of any community, and in the 6th century before the Common Era, its importance was paramount. Cities were growing, populations were increasing, and the need for reliable access to fresh water was critical. The tunnel of Eupalinos allowed the city to tap into a water source that might have otherwise been inaccessible, ensuring that residents could drink, cook, and irrigate their lands with a consistent supply of clean water. The tunnel would have supported both ordinary households and public spaces, including baths, fountains, and possibly small agricultural projects, reflecting a society attentive to both practical needs and public welfare. Water carried through this tunnel would have been a silent force, flowing steadily beneath the feet of the city's inhabitants, sustaining life and connecting human ingenuity with the natural world above and below the mountain. The very location of the tunnel, carved through solid rock, adds to its awe-inspiring nature. The mountains of Samos are not gentle slopes but rugged and resistant, presenting a formidable challenge to any engineer. The choice to tunnel through rather than around the mountain speaks to the determination and resourcefulness of Eupalinos and his team. They understood that directness was key, that water must reach the city efficiently, and that the effort to pierce the rock was justified by the benefits of a straight, reliable route. The tunnel's path would have been plotted carefully, considering the contours of the land, the properties of the rock, and the need for stability. Every strike of the chisel was a negotiation with the mountain, a dialogue in stone that has lasted over 2.5 millennia, a silent conversation between human ambition and the stubborn endurance of nature. Beyond its functional purpose, the Tunnel of Eupalinos also holds symbolic significance, a representation of the intelligence, creativity, and resilience of the people of Samos. In an age when cities and communities were increasingly asserting their identity and independence, the construction of such a tunnel would have been a source of pride, a visible demonstration of the city's capabilities and the brilliance of its thinkers. Eupalinos himself would have been celebrated not only as a skilled engineer, but also as a visionary who could translate abstract ideas into practical solutions that would endure beyond his lifetime. The tunnel stands as a reminder that the ancients were capable of feats that rival our own, using thought, observation, and skill to overcome challenges that might seem insurmountable, even with today's technology. Exploring the tunnel today, one can almost feel the presence of those who laboured within it so long ago. The narrow passages force visitors to move carefully, echoing the conditions of the original workers who navigated the same spaces with only torches for light. The air is cool and slightly damp, carrying the scent of stone and history, a tangible connection to the past. Walking through the tunnel, one cannot help but imagine the planning, the labour, and the sheer willpower that went into every metre of excavation. Each curve and angle in the tunnel tells a story of careful calculation and adaptation, of decisions made in darkness to ensure the survival and prosperity of an entire city. The sense of scale is both humbling and inspiring, a reminder that human ingenuity has long been capable of achieving wonders that endure far beyond the lifetimes of those who first created them. The tunnel's construction is also a window into the technological and mathematical knowledge of the 6th century before the Common Era. At a time when the world had no electricity, no powered machines, and no advanced surveying equipment, the ability to conceive, design, and execute such a project is extraordinary. The builders would have needed a deep understanding of angles, measurement, and proportion, as well as a practical sense of how to translate abstract calculations into physical excavation. They had to anticipate challenges, solve problems in real time, and coordinate labour in a complex and potentially dangerous environment. The Tunnel of Eupalinos thus represents not merely a physical accomplishment, but a triumph of human cognition, an example of how thoughtful planning and applied knowledge can achieve results that seem almost magical to those who come after. Historians and engineers continue to study the tunnel with fascination, uncovering insights into ancient construction techniques and the lives of the people who built it. Archaeological investigations have revealed the tools used, the sequence of excavation, and the methods for surveying and aligning the tunnel, These studies have confirmed that the tunnel was constructed with remarkable precision, with only minor deviations along its length, and that it remains an enduring example of how ancient engineers could harness both theory and practice to achieve a goal. Every measurement, every mark on the wall, and every feature of the tunnel adds to our understanding of the ingenuity of the ancients, illustrating a continuity of human curiosity, creativity, and the relentless pursuit of solutions to practical problems. The tunnel also provides insight into the broader context of Greek civilization during the 6th century before the Common Era. Samos, like many other city-states, was experiencing growth in population, trade, and culture. The construction of public works such as aqueducts, tunnels, and other infrastructure was a reflection of social organization, the presence of skilled labor, and the ability of a city to mobilize resources toward a common goal. The Tunnel of Eupalinos thus serves not only as an engineering feat, but also as a lens through which we can view the society that produced it, revealing priorities, capabilities, and the interplay between human ambition and environmental challenges. It reminds us that even in antiquity, communities were capable of complex projects that combined technical skill, organization, and vision, leaving legacies that continue to captivate and instruct us today. The remarkable survival of the tunnel over more than 25 centuries also speaks to the quality of its construction. Despite natural processes of erosion, earthquakes, and human activity, the tunnel has endured, a testament to the careful selection of its path, the stability of the rock, and the skill of its builders. The very longevity of the Tunnel of Eupalinos reinforces the idea that human craftsmanship, when guided by careful planning and understanding of natural forces, can achieve permanence that extends far beyond the lifespan of its creators. It is a silent witness to the passage of time, a structure that has outlasted generations, civilizations, and even empires, preserving a story of ingenuity, labor, and human vision in stone. The Tunnel of Eupalinos is also notable for its influence on subsequent engineering projects. Its design and execution set a standard for later aqueducts, tunnels, and water management systems throughout Greece and beyond. The principles demonstrated in the tunnel, alignment from opposite ends, careful gradient control, and structural stability, became part of the collective knowledge that shaped future generations of engineers. In this sense, the tunnel is not only a historical artifact but also a pedagogical tool, a source of inspiration and instruction for anyone seeking to understand the evolution of engineering thought and practice over millennia. The story of the Tunnel of Eupalinos continues to captivate those who encounter it, whether as scholars, tourists, or casual observers of history. Its existence prompts questions about human capability, the interplay of necessity and creativity, and the lengths to which societies will go to secure essential resources. The tunnel is a reminder that the past is not a distant, abstract concept, but a living narrative etched in stone, carrying lessons about perseverance, ingenuity, and the desire to overcome obstacles through thought and effort. Each step within the tunnel is a connection to the people of Samos who, in the 6th century before the Common Era, dared to envision a solution that would endure far beyond their own lives, a solution that continues to inspire wonder, admiration, and study thousands of years later. The excavation of the tunnel would have required more than just physical strength. It demanded planning and logistics on a scale that might surprise modern observers. Teams of workers would have been organized to handle different tasks, some chipping away at the rock face, others transporting debris, while still others measured distances, slopes, and angles. The coordination of these teams was critical, as even minor errors could have caused delays, structural weaknesses, or misalignment between the two ends. Supplies had to be managed carefully, including food, water, and tools, ensuring that laborers could sustain their efforts in a demanding environment. Communication between the teams, despite the long distance and lack of modern technology, would have been constant and precise, relying on signals, measurements, and perhaps even sound or light to convey instructions across the mountain. Every detail mattered, from the handling of stone fragments to the positioning of support structures, reflecting a level of organization that rivals modern construction projects in its complexity and foresight. The tunnel's design also reveals an understanding of human ergonomics and practical needs, even in an era long before such concepts were formally recognized. Its dimensions allowed workers to move and operate tools effectively, and the gradient of the passage ensured that water could flow steadily, without requiring additional pumping. The use of ventilation shafts, if present, would have improved air quality for labourers, preventing the build-up of harmful gases and providing light in the otherwise dark interior. Such considerations indicate that the builders were attentive not only to the final function of the tunnel, but also to the safety, efficiency, and well-being of those creating it. This awareness of human factors, combined with technical skill, underscores the sophistication of ancient engineering practices and the holistic approach taken by Eupalinos and his team. The construction of the tunnel of Eupalinos is emblematic of a broader human impulse, the desire to reshape the environment in service of civilization. Throughout history, societies have sought to control water, energy, and materials to improve living conditions, support agriculture, and enable urban growth. The tunnel represents a particularly striking instance of this impulse, demonstrating how humans have consistently sought to overcome natural obstacles through creativity and engineering. By carving a passage through solid rock, Eupalinos and his team not only solved an immediate problem, bringing water to Samos, but also created a lasting testament to the ability of human intelligence to manipulate the physical world in pursuit of necessity and progress. The tunnel embodies the convergence of natural observation, mathematical reasoning, and manual labour, a synthesis that continues to inspire admiration for ancient ingenuity. Even today, the tunnel of Eupalinos serves as an educational tool, a source of fascination for students of engineering, architecture, history, and archaeology. Its preservation allows modern observers to study ancient methods of measurement, excavation, and water management, providing insights that are still relevant for understanding both the history of technology and the continuity of human problem-solving. Scholars have examined the tunnel's alignment, gradients, and construction techniques, often using it as a case study in early engineering precision. The very fact that the tunnel remains largely intact after more than 25 centuries makes it a unique artifact, offering a rare glimpse into the practical realities of ancient life and the capabilities of societies that existed long before modern tools, machinery, or written instructions could guide them. The tunnel of Eupalinos also connects us to the cultural and political context of Samos in the 6th century before the Common Era. This was a period when Greek city-states were developing identities, asserting independence, and investing in public infrastructure to support growing populations and trade networks. Large-scale projects like the tunnel reflected civic ambition, collective effort, and the importance of water management in urban planning. The decision to undertake such an ambitious project implies not only technical knowledge, but also social organization, leadership, and the capacity to mobilize and sustain a workforce over years of challenging labor. Eupalinos' achievement thus provides insight into the relationship between technology, society, and governance in an era often celebrated for its intellectual, artistic, and political advances. The tunnel's long-term impact on the community it served would have been profound. Reliable access to fresh water allowed for population growth, improved sanitation, and enhanced agricultural productivity, contributing to the overall stability and prosperity of Samos. It would have supported daily life, enabling activities that depended on a constant water supply, from domestic tasks to religious rituals, and even small industries that required water for processing or cooling. The presence of such infrastructure likely reinforced social cohesion, as the benefits of a well-managed water system would have been shared across the city, linking citizens to the vision and labour of Eupalinos and his workforce. The tunnel thus illustrates the interplay between technical innovation and societal development, highlighting how engineering achievements can have far-reaching consequences for communities, shaping the course of history in tangible and enduring ways. The experience of walking through the tunnel of Eupalinos today is both a physical and intellectual journey. One can feel the texture of the stone walls, hear the echoes of footfalls, and imagine the challenges faced by the workers who carved this passage over 2,500 years ago. The narrowness of the tunnel, the darkness, and the stillness evoke a sense of the human effort that went into creating it, while the precise alignment and enduring stability inspire admiration for the ingenuity behind its design. Visitors are confronted with the scale of the project, the coordination required, and the remarkable foresight that guided every decision, from the choice of path to the dimensions of the passage, from the slope of the aqueduct to the placement of ventilation shafts. Every aspect of the tunnel serves as a tangible reminder of the intelligence, skill, and determination of those who created it, bridging the gap between past and present and providing a vivid link to the human story etched into stone. The tunnel's endurance is also a testament to the understanding of geology and materials that must have informed its construction. The builders would have observed the types of rock, their fissures, and their behavior under stress, adjusting their excavation techniques accordingly. They would have learned to navigate natural weaknesses, to reinforce or avoid sections prone to collapse, and to channel water along a path that minimized erosion and damage. This practical knowledge, combined with theoretical insight into angles, measurement, and alignment, allowed the tunnel to survive earthquakes, weathering, and human interference over centuries. The interplay of natural observation, applied science, and meticulous planning is evident in every metre of the tunnel, showcasing a sophisticated approach to construction that blends empirical learning with logical reasoning. The historical context of the tunnel's construction adds further depth to its significance. The 6th century before the Common Era was a time when Samos was flourishing under the rule of influential tyrants and ambitious leaders who sought to enhance the city's infrastructure and prestige. It was a period characterized by rapid urban development, growing trade networks, and a burgeoning appreciation for art, philosophy, and science. The island's strategic location in the eastern Aegean made it a hub of commerce and cultural exchange, and the provision of a reliable water supply would have been essential for supporting both the domestic needs of the population and the economic activities that sustained the city-state. In this sense, the Tunnel of Eupalinos was more than a functional project. It was a statement of civic pride, technical mastery, and social organization, a physical embodiment of the city's aspirations and achievements at a time when human ingenuity was beginning to reach new heights across the Greek world. Deep beneath the rolling hills, lush fields, quiet forests, and gentle slopes of Central Europe, there exists a hidden world that very few people ever get to see, a world so secretive and confounding that it has puzzled scholars, explorers, and local people for generations. These are the Erdstall tunnels, a network of narrow passageways that snake beneath the surface like the hidden veins of the land, stretching across regions in Germany and Austria. Unlike the grand castles and monumental cathedrals that rise proudly into the sky above, these tunnels remain humble, secretive, and almost invisible, their entrances often hidden in plain sight, camouflaged among roots, rocks, and the gentle undulations of the countryside. For centuries these passages have whispered to those who have ventured into them, yet their true story, their origin, and the purpose for which they were made remain elusive, shrouded in mystery and speculation. The Erdstall tunnels are striking for the sense of intimacy and confinement they evoke. They are almost uniformly narrow, often so tight that an average adult can barely squeeze through, sometimes requiring the person to crawl on hands and knees or even press their bodies flat against the earthen walls. The walls themselves are rough and irregular, hewn directly from the soft, pliable soil, rock and clay of the region, with no evidence of sophisticated tools, except perhaps for simple implements that might have been used to scrape and dig. Their height rarely exceeds 4 feet, so that most adults must stoop to move forward, while the width is often just wide enough for a single person to navigate. This has led to a very particular and unsettling feeling for anyone brave enough to explore them. People who have descended into the tunnels often speak of a sense of claustrophobia, a creeping awareness of the earth pressing close on all sides, a muffled quiet that makes even the smallest sound echo strangely, and a feeling of being enclosed in a world cut off from the skies, sunlight, and open air that one takes for granted above ground. Scattered widely across the landscapes of southern Germany, Austria, and into neighbouring regions, the Erdstall tunnels do not form a continuous or single complex like the underground cities of Cappadocia or the vast catacombs of Rome. Instead, they appear as thousands of separate, discrete tunnels, sometimes clustered in a particular area, sometimes appearing almost at random, as if they had sprung from the earth with no clear pattern at all. In Germany, many of these tunnels are found in Bavaria, in the hilly countryside where forests and farmland intermingle. In Austria, they appear in the regions of Upper Austria and Styria, where fertile valleys meet wooded hillsides. The entrances to these tunnels are often hidden beneath grassy mounds, under shrubs, or along the edges of farms and pathways, suggesting that their builders either wished to keep them secret or simply integrated them seamlessly into the landscape, leaving no large or obvious traces behind. The scattered nature of these tunnels adds to their mystery, leaving those who study them wondering whether they were local phenomena created by small groups in isolated areas, or whether they were part of a more widespread yet lost cultural or practical practice. Inside, the tunnels are marked by certain characteristic features that are repeated from one location to another, giving them a recognizable identity. They are often winding, twisting and turning in unexpected ways, sometimes with abrupt drops, sharp turns and passages that end in small dead ends. Some tunnels contain what appear to be resting places, small niches carved into the earth, perhaps to sit or crouch for a while. In other cases, there are narrow chambers, barely large enough for a single person to kneel in, but these are exceedingly rare, and their purpose is hard to determine. One particularly curious feature that appears in some Erdstall tunnels is a series of low head holes, or small openings, through which a person must duck or squeeze, often in a downward motion to continue further. These bottlenecks seem almost ritualistic in design, as though they were intentionally made to slow down the passage, force a particular posture, or test the resolve of anyone moving through them. Despite their simplicity and small scale, the tunnels are not always easy to navigate. The floors are often uneven, sometimes slippery, and occasionally littered with small rocks or debris. In many areas, the tunnels narrow dramatically, forcing explorers to crawl in tight, uncomfortable positions for extended periods. Air in the tunnels is generally cold, damp, and musty, and in longer passages it can feel as though the air itself is heavy with age, carrying the faint scent of the earth that has rested untouched for centuries. Light is, of course, almost non-existent, so anyone entering must bring torches or lamps, which flicker against the walls and cast enormous dancing shadows that seem to animate the earthen surfaces. The darkness, combined with the winding, twisting paths, creates an almost disorienting effect, as if the earth itself were alive, hiding secrets in its curves and folds. One of the most remarkable aspects of the Erdstall tunnels is how old they are. Precise dating is difficult, as the tunnels are made directly in earth and soft rock, leaving few clues for archaeologists, yet experts suggest that many of them could be medieval in origin, possibly dating from the 11th, 12th or 13th centuries, though some may even be older. Unlike castles and fortifications, which are often built in highly visible and strategically important locations, these tunnels are hidden and modest, suggesting that their builders had reasons beyond mere defence. Some historians speculate that they may have been used as secret refuges to escape marauders, invading armies, or local feuds. In a time when travel could be dangerous and local conflicts were frequent, a hidden passage beneath one's property could provide a crucial means of survival. Yet, while this is a plausible theory, it does not explain the thousands of tunnels scattered across multiple regions, nor their uniform narrowness and repetitive features. The purpose of the tunnels remains one of the most debated questions. Some scholars suggest that they were purely functional, serving as escape routes during times of danger, allowing villagers or families to slip underground quickly and vanish from view. Others speculate that they might have been used for storage, perhaps to keep food safe from thieves or wild animals, or to store valuable items in secret. Yet another theory is that the tunnels had spiritual or ritual significance, possibly used in ceremonies, meditation, or other practices that required isolation from the everyday world. Certain patterns in some tunnels, such as the low head holes and niches, hint at ritual use, as if the act of moving through the tunnel itself was meant to be a transformative or purifying experience. No theory fully explains all of the tunnel's features, however, leaving room for endless conjecture. The name Erdstall itself is evocative and descriptive. In German, Erd means earth or soil, and Stall typically refers to a stable or shelter, so the word can loosely be translated as Earthstall or earth shelter. This simple term captures the essence of the tunnels as enclosed hidden spaces within the ground, but it does not reveal much about why they were made or who used them. Locals have long known of their presence, often referring to the entrances in hushed tones or as part of local folklore. Tales abound of mysterious disappearances, of hidden treasures, and of secret passages that connect distant parts of a village, yet few of these stories can be verified. In some regions, the tunnels were rediscovered accidentally during farming, construction, or digging, revealing hidden networks that had lain unnoticed for centuries. Exploring an Erdstall tunnel is an experience that blends curiosity, fear, and wonder. As one moves deeper, the mind begins to play tricks, sensing shapes and movements in the shadows, hearing echoes of one's own footsteps multiplied and distorted by the walls. Many tunnels are remarkably short, only a few dozen feet in length, while others extend hundreds of feet underground, winding in loops or turning unexpectedly. Some tunnels have dead ends, seemingly designed to confuse or mislead, while others connect tiny chambers that invite pause and contemplation. The psychological impact of these tunnels cannot be overstated, as they impose a constant awareness of the closeness of the earth and the vulnerability of being beneath it, pressed on all sides by centuries of soil, stone, and time. Archaeological research on Erdstall tunnels has faced unique challenges. Because the tunnels are narrow and fragile, excavating or studying them with heavy tools or machinery is often impossible. Researchers must rely on careful, painstaking methods, measuring, mapping, and documenting each passage, often in tight, uncomfortable positions. The soil and soft rock in which the tunnels are carved are subject to erosion, collapse, and other natural processes, meaning that tunnels can disappear over time if they are not maintained or protected. Some tunnels have been stabilized with wooden supports, especially in areas open to the public, but many remain as they were, raw, unmodified, and wild. Despite these challenges, modern technology such as ground-penetrating radar, laser scanning, and detailed mapping techniques has allowed experts to document and understand the layout of many tunnels more fully than ever before. The spread of Erdstall tunnels across multiple regions raises intriguing questions about their creators. Were these tunnels the work of local farmers, villagers, or communities acting independently, or were they part of a larger cultural practice, shared and transmitted across generations and regions? The similarities in design and structure suggest a common knowledge or method of construction, yet no written records or detailed accounts survive to tell the story. Some scholars have even proposed that the tunnels were intended as a form of hidden communication or passageway system, though this remains speculative. Whatever their purpose, the tunnels testify to the ingenuity, patience, and determination of the people who carved them, often working with nothing more than simple hand tools, scraping, digging, and shaping the earth to create usable spaces beneath the surface. In addition to their historical and architectural significance, Erdstall tunnels have also captured the imagination of modern explorers, adventurers, and the general public. They are often featured in books, documentaries, and local legends, portrayed as mysterious and eerie places where one can glimpse the secrets of the past. Guided tours in some areas allow visitors to experience the tunnels safely, crouching and crawling through passages that have remained largely unchanged for hundreds of years, feeling firsthand the close, intimate, and sometimes unnerving atmosphere that has captivated generations. Photographers and historians alike are drawn to the tunnels for the stories they tell about human ingenuity, survival, and the desire to create hidden spaces in a world above that is often unpredictable and dangerous. The narrowness and simplicity of the tunnels, combined with their mysterious distribution, also invite comparisons to other underground constructions around the world. Unlike the massive catacombs in Paris or Rome, which were often associated with religious practice and urban burial, or the enormous subterranean cities of Cappadocia in Turkey, the Erdstall tunnels are intimate, small, and often difficult to navigate. They do not contain large chambers, complex living spaces, or sophisticated ventilation systems, yet they evoke a similarly powerful sense of human creativity applied to the hidden realms beneath the earth. The tunnel's small scale, repeated features, and hidden entrances suggest a very different set of needs and intentions, emphasizing secrecy, restriction, and perhaps ritual or symbolic meaning over practicality or grandeur. The mystery of the Erdstall tunnels continues to grow as new discoveries are made. Occasionally, a previously unknown tunnel is found by a farmer digging a new well, a hiker exploring a hillside, or a construction crew breaking ground. Each new find adds a piece to the puzzle, yet also raises new questions. Why were these tunnels made so uniformly narrow? Why are they scattered in seemingly random locations? Why do they include low openings, niches, and winding paths that seem to serve no obvious purpose? And perhaps most perplexing of all, how did people without sophisticated tools, machinery, or detailed maps manage to carve these tunnels at all, often with remarkable consistency across regions? Local folklore surrounding the tunnels is rich and varied. In some villages, stories persist of hidden treasures buried in the earth, guarded by unseen forces, accessible only through the tunnels. In others, legends speak of secret meetings, escape routes during times of war, or mysterious ceremonies conducted in the underground spaces. Some accounts even describe strange sounds, lights, or sensations experienced by those who enter the tunnels, suggesting that the imagination, fear, and wonder inspired by these spaces are almost as old as the tunnels themselves. These stories have been passed down orally for generations, entwining the tunnels into the cultural memory of the regions and ensuring that the Erdstall tunnels remain a source of fascination long after their original purpose may have been forgotten. Despite centuries of curiosity and research, no definitive explanation has emerged. The tunnels resist easy classification, standing as silent witnesses to human activity in times long past. Their simplicity and secrecy, their narrowness and scattered presence, and their peculiar features all suggest that they served a purpose that is not fully understood today. They were not built to impress or dominate like castles or fortresses. They were built to hide, to protect, to channel, to guide, or perhaps to serve some symbolic or spiritual need lost to time. Each tunnel, each turn, each narrow passage carries with it a whisper of history, a fragment of an ancient story that remains incomplete, urging those who enter to imagine, to wonder, and to search for meaning in the darkness beneath the familiar landscapes of Germany and Austria. The physical experience of moving through an Erdstall tunnel also shapes how we think about the people who made them. Imagine working for weeks, months, or even years, scraping away at soil and rock to create a passage barely wide enough for your own body, sometimes with only simple tools in hand. The effort required speaks to determination, ingenuity, and perhaps urgency. One cannot help but wonder what drove these people to carve these hidden spaces, knowing the labour involved and the small confined result. The tunnels demand patience, resilience, and a vision of utility or purpose that may never be fully known to us. Even today, modern visitors often approach the tunnels with a mixture of caution and excitement. Guided tours and occasional openings allow for exploration, but the vast majority of tunnels remain inaccessible to the public, either because they are too narrow, unstable, or simply undiscovered. This inaccessibility preserves the sense of secrecy and wonder, reminding us that the Earth itself holds memories and spaces that we may never fully comprehend. The tunnels encourage a form of reflection, a confrontation with the limits of human knowledge, and a recognition of the silent persistence of the past beneath the living, breathing landscapes we inhabit. The Erdstall tunnels stand as a testament to human creativity applied in the shadows, away from sunlight and public view. They are reminders that not all human endeavour seeks fame, glory, or permanence in visible form. Sometimes, ingenuity and purpose find expression in small, hidden, and almost invisible ways, leaving traces that whisper through centuries rather than proclaim them. They invite us to think about survival, secrecy, faith, ritual, and the myriad reasons people have sought to shape the Earth to meet needs that are no longer immediately obvious. Each tunnel carries with it countless unanswered questions. How many of these tunnels existed originally, before time, erosion, and human activity reduced their numbers? How were the tunnels constructed? With what tools, and according to what plan or knowledge? Were they part of a local tradition, passed down from one generation to the next, or an isolated practice that appeared independently in different locations? And what of the communities above the ground? What stories, fears, or daily realities led to the creation of spaces so hidden, narrow, and mysterious? The more one delves into the subject, the more intricate and layered it becomes, revealing a complex interplay between human needs, imagination, and the Earth itself, shaped in ways that are at once practical, symbolic, and enigmatic. Over the centuries, the Erdstall tunnels have remained remarkably consistent in form. They do not exhibit the large-scale expansion, complex ventilation systems, or elaborate architecture found in other underground sites. Yet, this very simplicity amplifies the intrigue, as it suggests a very deliberate approach, one that prioritizes modesty, secrecy, or ritual function over grandeur or public utility. Some tunnels feature simple steps, small openings, or slight inclines, hinting at careful thought in their design, even within their narrow, restricted confines. The repetition of certain features across different regions points to shared knowledge, yet no contemporary records explain how or why these features were developed. Scholars, archaeologists and explorers continue to investigate the Erdstall tunnels, applying modern techniques while respecting the delicate nature of the spaces. Detailed mapping, three-dimensional laser scanning, and soil analysis have provided new insights into their construction, orientation, and distribution. These studies reveal that, despite the apparent randomness, there are subtle patterns, such as alignments with landscape features, proximity to settlements, and the repeated use of particular shapes and bottlenecks. Each piece of data adds a fragment to the puzzle, yet the overall picture remains tantalizingly incomplete, preserving the sense of mystery that has surrounded these tunnels for centuries. Even the smallest tunnels carry stories of human interaction with the earth that are profoundly evocative. They demonstrate a willingness to enter darkness, to carve, to hide, and to create spaces that prioritize function, safety, or ritual over comfort. The tight confines, the low ceilings, and the twisting, turning paths all speak to an intimate relationship with the subterranean environment, a negotiation between human need and the constraints of earth, rock, and clay. The tunnels are silent witnesses to ingenuity and resilience, reminders of the lengths to which people will go to shape the world around them, even when the results are hidden from view. The fascination with Erdstall tunnels also highlights the human attraction to hidden places, secret spaces, and unexplored realms. People are drawn to what is hidden, mysterious, and slightly dangerous. The tunnels offer a physical manifestation of this curiosity, inviting exploration, reflection, and imagination. Each narrow passage can spark stories, legends, and speculation, creating a rich tapestry of narrative that intertwines with the historical and archaeological record. In this way, the tunnels serve not only as historical artifacts but also as catalysts for imagination, mystery, and adventure, bridging the gap between past and present, Earth and human curiosity. The tunnel's hidden entrances, sometimes just a few feet across and often partially covered by vegetation or soil, create a sense of discovery even before one enters. To find an Erdstall entrance is to step into a world that feels separate from the ordinary, a liminal space where the rules above ground seem suspended, and where every turn or squeeze through a narrow passage carries the weight of centuries. The act of entering the tunnel itself becomes a ritual, a transition from one reality to another, echoing perhaps the intentions of the original builders, whether they sought refuge, secrecy, spiritual connection, or something entirely unknown. In examining the tunnels today, it becomes apparent that their simplicity belies a remarkable ingenuity. Carved without heavy machinery, often in soil and soft rock that could collapse if not carefully managed, the tunnels demonstrate a profound understanding of materials, balance, and technique. Builders had to consider not only the immediate goal of creating a passage but also long-term stability, ventilation, and the experience of those who would travel through them. The tunnel's survival over centuries, despite the fragility of their materials, speaks to the care and skill applied in their construction, even when the purpose remains shrouded in mystery. The interplay between the tunnel's hidden nature and the landscape above them is another fascinating element. Many tunnels lie beneath farmland, pastures, and forested hills, integrating seamlessly into the environment. Petra, located in the southern part of modern-day Jordan, is a site of extraordinary beauty and historical significance, a city carved almost entirely from the reddish-pink sandstone cliffs that rise dramatically from the surrounding desert. While it is most famous for its spectacular rock facades, which have become symbols of ancient ingenuity and artistry, Petra is also home to an intricate and mysterious network of subterranean structures, tombs and passageways, revealing the hidden life beneath its sunlit exterior and offering a window into the cultural and spiritual practices of its builders. The story of Petra is a story of stone and sand, of water and ingenuity, of a civilization that flourished in one of the most challenging landscapes on Earth, and whose marks on the landscape still astound anyone who wanders through its winding canyons and shadowed chambers. The history of Petra begins in a time long ago, over 2,000 years ago, when it was inhabited by the Nabateans, a people who were masterful traders and builders, skilled not only in commerce, but also in the art of shaping the harsh desert environment into a thriving urban centre. They occupied this region in what we now call the 1st century before the Common Era, though evidence suggests that human activity in the area goes back even further. These people chose this remote and rugged terrain not only for its strategic advantages, but also because of the abundant sandstone cliffs that could be carved with precision into structures both functional and ceremonial. The famous facades, which rise like magnificent paintings frozen in stone, are only the surface of what lies hidden below. Beneath the cliffs and the carved streets, there exists a labyrinth of tombs, crypts, and passageways, some of which stretch deep into the rock, revealing a world that was both sacred and practical, a subterranean city in its own right. The underground tombs of Petra are remarkable in their variety, ranging from simple chambers hewn from the rock to vast and complex complexes, each with its own character and purpose. Some tombs feature multiple chambers, with carved niches and recessed alcoves, likely used to house the remains of the dead along with offerings, while others resemble small temples or sanctuaries, their walls decorated with reliefs and inscriptions, hinting at the beliefs and rituals of the Nabateans. The design of these tombs reflects a sophisticated understanding of both engineering and spiritual symbolism. Light and shadow are carefully manipulated, with narrow corridors leading to wider chambers, creating spaces that convey a sense of mystery and reverence. Many of the subterranean structures are cut so deeply into the cliffs that the stone above forms natural ceilings, often supported by pillars or carved buttresses, ensuring that these underground chambers could endure the passage of centuries in a region prone to earthquakes and erosion. The passageways beneath Petra are no less fascinating. Some of them are relatively narrow, winding through the rock like veins connecting tombs, water channels, and other underground spaces. Others are wide and deliberately constructed, perhaps serving as ceremonial routes or secret paths for movement unseen by those on the surface. The Nabateans were renowned for their mastery of water management, and it is likely that some of these passageways served practical purposes, channeling rainwater or spring water through the city, while also creating hidden corridors for storage, refuge, or the transportation of goods. The skill required to carve these tunnels into solid rock without modern tools is staggering, a testament to both their vision and their determination to adapt the landscape to their needs. The tunnels often follow the natural contours of the rock, yet they are carefully straightened and smoothed in places, indicating a combination of intuition and careful planning. In some areas, the passageways twist and turn, creating an almost labyrinthine effect that would have required detailed knowledge of the terrain to navigate safely. Many of the subterranean tombs of Petra are located near the cliffs that face the main canyons, allowing for an interplay between light and shadow that enhances their aesthetic and symbolic impact. As sunlight shifts throughout the day, the interiors of these tombs are illuminated in changing patterns, creating an experience that may have been intended to evoke a spiritual or contemplative response from visitors. Some tombs are adorned with carved decorations, including geometric patterns, floral motifs, and representations of human and divine figures. Although the sandstone's softness means that many of these carvings have been worn away over time, leaving only hints of their former intricacy. These decorations, combined with the careful proportions of the chambers and passageways, suggest that the Nabateans placed great importance on the experience of the subterranean space, using it not only for burial, but also as a setting for rituals, reflection, and remembrance. Petra's underground passageways are often interconnected in surprising ways, with tunnels that link tombs to water reservoirs, cisterns, and hidden chambers, forming a network that extends beneath the city's visible structures. Some of these passages may have served defensive purposes, allowing the inhabitants to move unseen during times of conflict, or to store valuable items in secure locations. Others may have been designed to facilitate trade or the transport of goods, as Petra was a major hub on the incense and spice routes that stretched across the Arabian Peninsula, connecting distant lands and cultures. The passageways would have provided shelter from the scorching heat of the desert sun, as well as protection from sandstorms and the prying eyes of outsiders, creating a hidden infrastructure that complemented the city's public-facing grandeur. The subterranean spaces of Petra are also closely linked to the Nabateans' sophisticated water management systems, which were crucial for survival in the arid environment. Channels carved into the rock, underground cisterns and reservoirs were connected to these passageways, allowing water to flow throughout the city in a controlled manner. Some tunnels led to hidden cisterns capable of storing thousands of litres of water, ensuring that the population had access to this vital resource even during periods of drought. These systems demonstrate an extraordinary understanding of hydraulics and geology, showing that the Nabateans were not only artists and traders, but also engineers capable of shaping their environment to meet both practical and ceremonial needs. The interplay between water, rock, and human habitation is evident throughout Petra, creating an urban landscape in which subterranean spaces were as important as the buildings that rose above them. Exploring the subterranean tombs and passageways of Petra reveals the complexity of Nabatean society. The variation in tomb size and decoration suggests a hierarchy in which some individuals or families were afforded grand, elaborately carved burial spaces, while others rested in simpler chambers. The presence of multiple chambers within a single tomb, sometimes linked by narrow corridors, indicates that families may have been buried together, reflecting social structures that emphasize kinship and continuity. Inscriptions and carvings, where preserved, provide further insight into the beliefs and values of the Nabateans, including references to deities, protection of the dead, and the promise of an afterlife. These subterranean spaces were not merely functional, they were expressions of identity, status, and faith, a testament carved in stone to the lives and aspirations of those who once walked Petra's sunlit streets. Many of Petra's underground structures have remained hidden or largely unexplored for centuries. Sand, debris, and the shifting of rock over time have obscured some tunnels and tombs, creating a sense of discovery for modern archaeologists and explorers. Early travellers in the 18th and 19th centuries marvelled at the city's facades, but often overlooked the hidden depths beneath the cliffs. As archaeological methods advanced and more systematic excavations were conducted, these subterranean areas began to reveal their secrets, uncovering a hidden layer of the city that complements and enriches our understanding of Petra's grandeur. Today, visitors can glimpse into some of these underground tombs and passageways, though much of the network remains inaccessible, leaving space for imagination and continued research. The architectural techniques used in Petra's subterranean structures are a testament to the ingenuity of the Nabateans. The rock was carefully carved using chisels and hammers, techniques passed down through generations, allowing them to create precise and durable spaces. In some areas, the rock appears polished or smoothed, while in others the natural texture is retained, perhaps to maintain structural strength or to enhance the aesthetic effect. The combination of natural formations and human carving creates a seamless integration between the city and its environment, blurring the line between what is natural and what is made by human hands. This fusion of art and engineering is a defining feature of Petra, both above and below ground, and it reflects a culture attuned to its surroundings and capable of extraordinary feats of adaptation and creativity. Petra's underground spaces also provide insight into the ceremonial life of its inhabitants. Some passageways may have been used for processions, initiation rituals, or other sacred activities, with the layout of tunnels and chambers designed to guide participants through a carefully choreographed experience. The use of narrow corridors leading to larger, more open chambers suggests a deliberate manipulation of space to create anticipation and awe, enhancing the emotional impact of the rituals performed within. The acoustics of the rock, the interplay of light and shadow, and the relative isolation of the subterranean chambers would have contributed to the sense of otherworldliness, creating environments where participants could feel removed from the ordinary world above. Water features, when present, would have amplified these effects. Some tunnels may have included channels with flowing water, adding sound and movement to the subterranean experience. Others may have incorporated pools or cisterns that reflected light, creating shimmering surfaces that enhanced the visual impact of the space. These features demonstrate an awareness of sensory experience, showing that the Nabateans understood how to use their environment to create powerful, multisensory effects. The integration of functional, aesthetic, and spiritual elements in these subterranean spaces speaks to a culture in which practical concerns, artistic expression, and religious belief were intimately intertwined, forming a holistic approach to urban design and architecture. The scale of Petra's subterranean network is also remarkable. While it's difficult to map every tunnel and tomb, archaeological surveys have revealed that these spaces extend far beneath the visible city, connecting different areas and forming a hidden infrastructure that supports both daily life and ceremonial activity. Some tunnels run for hundreds of meters, twisting through the rock and occasionally opening into large chambers, while others are shorter, providing access to specific tombs or water systems. The complexity of this network reflects careful planning and a deep understanding of the geological conditions, as well as a capacity to mobilize labor and resources over extended periods. Building such a network required not only technical skill, but also social organization, indicating that Petra's subterranean spaces were part of a coordinated effort to create a city that was resilient, functional, and symbolically powerful. The symbolism of the subterranean tombs and passageways is also significant. In many cultures, the act of placing the dead beneath the earth is a statement about the connection between life, death, and the natural world. In Petra, the act of carving tombs into living rock may have carried additional meaning, emphasizing permanence, continuity, and the integration of human life with the natural landscape. The passageways, often winding and mysterious, may have represented journeys, both physical and spiritual, guiding the living through spaces associated with the dead and the divine. These interpretations are supported by the careful placement of tombs in relation to each other and to the city above, suggesting a deliberate arrangement that reflected cosmological or religious ideas as well as practical concerns. In addition to tombs, Petra's subterranean spaces include storage chambers and rooms that may have had civic or commercial functions. The city's role as a trading hub meant that it required secure spaces for goods, from spices and incense to textiles and metals, and underground rooms would have provided cool, dry storage protected from the harsh desert sun and from theft. Some chambers may have served as workshops, where artisans could work away from the bustle of the streets above, or as living quarters for specialized workers involved in water management or maintenance of the city's infrastructure. The multifunctional nature of these subterranean spaces highlights the adaptability of the Nabateans, who were able to use the hidden parts of their city for a variety of essential purposes. The discovery and study of Petra's subterranean structures continue to fascinate archaeologists, historians, and visitors alike. Modern technology, including ground-penetrating radar and three-dimensional mapping, has allowed researchers to explore areas that would otherwise be inaccessible, revealing new details about the city's layout, construction techniques, and usage patterns. Excavations have uncovered artifacts such as pottery, inscriptions, tools, and fragments of decorative elements, providing clues to the daily life, trade, and religious practices of the Nabateans. These findings deepen our understanding of Petra not just as a city of stunning facades, but as a living, breathing society with complex social, economic, and spiritual dimensions, much of which is hidden beneath the surface. Walking through Petra, one cannot help but be struck by the duality of the city. The bright, sunlit canyons and monumental facades above, and the shadowed, mysterious tunnels and tombs below. This duality reflects the ingenuity of the Nabateans, who were able to create a city that was both visually breathtaking and functionally sophisticated, adapting to the challenges of the desert environment while expressing their culture, beliefs, and identity in stone. The experience of the subterranean spaces adds depth to the visitor's understanding of Petra, transforming it from a collection of rock-cut facades into a complex urban landscape that combines art, engineering, ritual, and daily life in a way that continues to inspire awe and curiosity. The passageways, tombs, and hidden chambers of Petra are also a reminder of the impermanence of human achievements. Despite the grandeur of the facades above, it is the hidden, often overlooked spaces below that have preserved the details of Nabatean life for millennia, sheltered from the elements and from human interference. The erosion of sandstone, the shifting of rock, and the encroachment of sand have altered the city over the centuries, but the underground structures remain relatively intact, a silent testament to the skill and vision of those who carved them. They invite exploration, study, and reflection, offering a glimpse into a world where human creativity met the harsh realities of the desert, resulting in a city that was at once beautiful, practical, and enduring. The complexity of Petra's subterranean network also suggests a sophisticated approach to urban planning. The Nabateans were able to coordinate the construction of above-ground monuments and facades with the excavation of tombs, tunnels, and water systems, creating a city in which all elements were interconnected. The placement of tombs, passageways, and water channels reflects careful consideration of geology, topography, and hydrology, demonstrating an advanced understanding of how to manipulate the natural environment to support a thriving urban centre. The integration of functional and ceremonial spaces underground, coupled with the aesthetic considerations of carving into living rock, shows that the Nabateans valued both utility and beauty, creating a city that was as functional as it was magnificent. Petra's underground spaces continue to hold mysteries. Despite decades of archaeological research, many tunnels remain unexplored, and new discoveries are still being made. The purpose of some passageways is unclear, and the full extent of the tomb network is not yet known. This sense of the unknown adds to the allure of Petra, suggesting that beneath its sunlit streets and monumental facades lies a hidden world, rich with history, symbolism, and human ingenuity. The ongoing exploration of these spaces promises to reveal even more about the lives, beliefs, and skills of the Nabateans, deepening our appreciation for a civilization that transformed a harsh desert landscape into a city of unparalleled beauty and complexity. Petra's subterranean tombs and passageways are not only of historical interest, but also provide a window into the relationship between humans and their environment. The Nabateans' ability to carve entire networks of rooms and tunnels into solid rock, while managing water and creating durable urban structures, demonstrates an extraordinary adaptation to a challenging landscape. The interplay of sunlight and shadow, the manipulation of space and sound, and the integration of functional and ceremonial features show a culture that was highly attuned to its surroundings and capable of remarkable technical and artistic achievements. These hidden spaces reveal a city that was more than a collection of monuments. It was a living environment shaped by human ingenuity, practical needs, and spiritual aspirations. The underground world of Petra also emphasizes the contrast between what is visible and what is hidden. Visitors are often drawn first to the breathtaking facades, carved with meticulous detail into the cliffs, but it is the experience of moving through the tunnels and tombs that offers a more intimate understanding of the Nabateans. The narrow corridors, the play of light and shadow, the echoing chambers, and the carved niches all contribute to a sense of immersion in a civilization that existed over 2,000 years ago. These subterranean spaces allow one to experience Petra not just as a collection of monumental stone facades, but as a complex, interconnected city, alive with the traces of human activity and the imprint of cultural and spiritual values. In the broader context of ancient cities, Petra's subterranean structures highlight the importance of hidden spaces in urban life. Across the ancient world, civilizations carved tombs, catacombs, and tunnels for purposes ranging from burial to storage, defense, and ritual. Petra stands out for the scale and sophistication of its underground network, which integrates these functions in a way that complements the above-ground city. The careful design of passageways, the placement of tombs, and the management of water demonstrate a high level of planning and coordination, reflecting a society capable of remarkable achievements in engineering, architecture, and urban design. The interplay between the visible and hidden, the monumental and the intimate, and the practical and ceremonial aspects of the city illustrates the Nabateans' nuanced understanding of space and their ability to shape their environment to meet multiple needs simultaneously. The artistic and symbolic aspects of Petra's subterranean spaces are equally compelling. Carved reliefs, inscriptions, and decorative elements suggest that these spaces were more than functional. They were designed to communicate messages, convey status, and evoke spiritual reflection. The careful proportions of chambers, the orientation of tombs, and the manipulation of light and shadow indicate that the Nabateans were attentive to aesthetic and symbolic concerns, creating environments that engage the senses and the mind. In this way, the underground tombs and passageways are not merely remnants of the past, but expressions of cultural values, artistic sensibilities, and spiritual beliefs that continue to resonate with those who explore them. Petra's subterranean structures also speak to the technical skills of the Nabateans. The ability to carve large chambers and intricate passageways into solid sandstone required not only physical labour, but also precise knowledge of the rock's properties, structural stability, and long-term durability. The alignment of tunnels, the creation of arches and supports, and the integration of water systems all demonstrate advanced engineering techniques, suggesting that the Nabateans possessed a sophisticated understanding of construction principles that allowed their underground spaces to endure for over 2,000 years. These skills were applied not only to practical ends, but also to create spaces of ceremonial and symbolic significance, showing a culture in which technical mastery and artistic expression were closely intertwined. Petra's subterranean world remains a source of fascination and discovery. As researchers continue to explore and document the tombs, tunnels, and hidden chambers, new insights emerge about the city's construction, use, and cultural significance. Ground-penetrating radar, three-dimensional mapping, and careful excavation techniques have revealed complex networks that were previously unknown, highlighting the ingenuity and adaptability of the Nabateans. These findings underscore the importance of considering the city as a whole, both above and below ground, and reveal the extent to which the underground spaces contributed to the life, economy, and spirituality of Petra. The network of subterranean tombs and passageways at Petra also reflects the broader spiritual and cultural beliefs of the Nabateans. Burial practices, ritual spaces, and the design of passageways indicate a concern with the afterlife, the journey of the soul, and the deep symbolic meaning of descending into the earth. The act of going downward, moving from the bright world above into the cool and silent chambers below, may have represented a transition from the realm of the living to the realm of ancestors and spirits. In many cultures, the earth itself is seen as a source of life and a place of return after death, and the Nabateans might have shared similar ideas, carving their tombs into the living rock as a way of connecting their loved ones to the eternal landscape around them. These beliefs were likely intertwined with their daily experiences of the desert, the cycles of the seasons, and the powerful forces of nature that shaped their lives. The idea of a tunnel under the Euphrates River in ancient Babylon is a story that has fascinated people for centuries, a story that is wrapped in mystery, wonder, and the timeless allure of things lost to history. Babylon itself was a city of immense fame and grandeur, known across the ancient world for its incredible walls, vast gardens, and monuments that seemed almost beyond human capability. It was located in the land we now call Iraq, along the winding banks of the mighty Euphrates River, which in its own right was a force of nature that carved the land and brought life to the people who settled along its fertile shores. The river was wide, deep, and powerful, a natural boundary that could protect the city from invaders or isolate it in times of trouble. The notion that there might have been a secret tunnel beneath its rushing waters is both thrilling and bewildering, because it challenges our understanding of what ancient engineers could accomplish, and it beckons us to imagine a Babylon that is even more extraordinary than the grand visions of historians and travellers have conveyed. According to the legend, the Euphrates Tunnel was not just a simple passageway. It was said to have been built with such skill and precision that it could withstand the river's constant flow and the pressure of the water above. Ancient Babylon was already known for its architectural brilliance, with the ziggurats reaching high into the sky and walls that were so thick and so strong that they could repel entire armies. It is therefore not entirely impossible, in the imagination of storytellers, that the Babylonians could have attempted to construct a tunnel beneath the river itself, a feat that even in modern times would be considered a serious engineering challenge. The very idea of building underground, beneath a living, moving body of water, requires not only advanced planning but also techniques to prevent flooding, to allow workers to breathe, and to ensure that the tunnel would remain stable for decades, centuries, or perhaps even longer. Some versions of the story say that the tunnel was constructed to allow people to move from one side of the river to the other in secret. In times of war or political intrigue, such a passage would have been invaluable. The kings of Babylon, whose power and influence were immense, were often engaged in struggles with neighbouring city-states, rival dynasties, and wandering armies. A hidden tunnel beneath the Euphrates could allow soldiers, messengers, or spies to cross unseen, delivering vital intelligence or moving troops without alerting enemies to their presence. Others say that the tunnel might have had a ceremonial or ritual purpose, that it connected sacred sites along the riverbanks, allowing priests, rulers, or worshippers to traverse the waters as part of secret religious rites. In a culture where the line between magic, religion, and engineering was often blurred, the idea of a subterranean river passage would fit perfectly with the grandeur and mystery of Babylonian life. The legend does not provide clear details about how the tunnel was built, but storytellers have often imagined clever solutions. Some say that workers might have dug the tunnel from both banks at the same time, meeting in the middle with remarkable precision, an achievement that would require careful measurement and sophisticated knowledge of geometry. Others suggest that the Babylonians may have used hollowed-out logs, watertight clay tubes, or even early forms of pumps and drainage systems to keep water from flooding the construction site. There are tales of workers labouring day and night, protected by magical charms or divine blessings, as they carved a passageway through earth, clay and rock beneath the roaring river. The descriptions vary, but they all emphasise ingenuity, courage, and a willingness to confront the unknown in pursuit of a goal that was both practical and awe-inspiring. The stories often speak of a tunnel that was wide enough to accommodate carts, animals, and many people walking side by side. Imagine the walls lined with carved bricks, perhaps inscribed with symbols of protection or blessings from the gods, guiding travellers safely through the darkness beneath the water. The floor may have been smooth, possibly even paved, so that transport could be efficient and swift. Lanterns, oil lamps, or torches might have illuminated the way, flickering against the damp walls and casting dancing shadows that added to the mysterious aura of the subterranean passage. Water channels or drainage systems could have run along the sides, keeping the tunnel from flooding during times of high river flow, while air shafts or vents allowed fresh air to circulate, ensuring that the workers and travellers would not be overcome by the stifling underground atmosphere. The legend also touches on the dangers involved. Tales describe the risks of cave-ins, sudden flooding, and the exhaustion of workers who laboured tirelessly to carve through the earth beneath a river that was unpredictable and wild. The Euphrates was known for its floods, especially in the spring when snow melted in distant mountains and rain swelled the river beyond its usual banks. A tunnel beneath it would have had to withstand enormous pressure, and even the most careful builders would have faced the constant threat of disaster. Yet the stories insist that the tunnel, if it existed, survived these challenges, at least long enough to become a part of Babylonian lore. Some stories also describe secret treasures or sacred objects hidden within the tunnel. In a city as rich as Babylon, with palaces, temples, and monuments filled with gold, silver, precious stones, and sacred artifacts, it is easy to imagine that some of these items might have been concealed in the darkness beneath the river. Perhaps the tunnel contained chambers where valuable goods were stored safely, out of reach of thieves or invading armies. Perhaps it held sacred objects used in rituals that could only be performed by a select few. The very idea of hidden treasure beneath a river in one of the most powerful cities of the ancient world is irresistible, blending the practical with the mystical, the possible with the fantastical. Legends often suggest that the tunnel was discovered, lost, or forgotten multiple times throughout history. Some versions say that kings or conquerors stumbled upon it, only to have its secrets vanish again due to natural disasters, deliberate sealing, or the erosion of the riverbanks. Others imply that the knowledge of its construction was passed down secretly among a select group of engineers or priests, who knew the methods but never revealed them to the wider public. The tunnel becomes a symbol not only of engineering genius, but also of secrecy, of things hidden beneath the surface of everyday life, waiting to be rediscovered by those curious enough to look. The notion of the Euphrates Tunnel has inspired countless imaginations beyond Babylon. Greek historians writing centuries later, Arab scholars exploring Mesopotamian ruins, European travellers in the medieval period, and modern archaeologists have all speculated on whether such a tunnel could have existed. Some have suggested that ancient Babylonians might have had techniques for dealing with water pressure, using clay linings, sand, or bitumen to waterproof the passage. Others have argued that tunnels beneath rivers are simply too risky, and that the stories are exaggerated or symbolic, reflecting the Babylonians' fascination with grand engineering, divine favour, and the power to shape the natural world. The very image of a tunnel under a flowing river evokes a sense of wonder that goes beyond practical concerns. It captures a human fascination with what lies beneath the surface, with hidden passageways that connect places and people in ways invisible to the outside world. The Euphrates itself is a living, breathing entity in these stories, a river whose currents can conceal as easily as they reveal, whose waters might hide the path of a clever engineer or wash away the traces of ambition, effort, and ingenuity. To imagine a tunnel beneath it is to imagine a secret world, a hidden artery of connection running silently under a river that has shaped civilizations for thousands of years. Some versions of the legend even hint at the tunnel extending beyond the immediate area of Babylon, connecting distant parts of the city, linking temples, palaces, and other structures in a subterranean network. If true, it would have been one of the most impressive engineering achievements of the ancient world, predating even the most famous Roman tunnels and aqueducts by centuries. It would require not only advanced understanding of construction but also careful observation of the river's behaviour, the soil and rock beneath it, and the forces that could threaten the stability of a man-made passage. The Babylonians were known for their ability to measure time, track celestial movements, and organise complex societies, so it is not entirely inconceivable that such an endeavour could have been imagined, even if its physical realisation remains uncertain. Stories of the tunnel often blend fact and imagination in a way that is characteristic of ancient legends. Babylon was real, the Euphrates was real, the city's walls and temples were real, yet the idea of a tunnel under the river is more elusive. Some scholars have suggested that references to such a tunnel could have been metaphorical, a symbol of connection between sacred places or a representation of hidden knowledge. Others argue that even if no tunnel existed, the legend captures the essence of Babylonian ambition, the desire to overcome natural obstacles, and the fascination with creating something lasting and extraordinary in the world. The tale of the Euphrates Tunnel also intersects with the broader human fascination with hidden underground spaces. Throughout history, cultures have dug beneath the earth for shelter, storage, ritual, or escape. In the deserts, mountains, and river valleys of the ancient world, tunnels and subterranean chambers appear again and again, each serving a practical or symbolic purpose. From the ziggurats of Mesopotamia to the pyramids of Egypt, from the catacombs of Rome to secret passageways in medieval castles, humans have been drawn to the hidden spaces below, using them to store goods, conduct ceremonies, hide from danger, or connect distant points in ways invisible to the outside observer. The Euphrates Tunnel, whether real or legendary, fits perfectly into this pattern, a Mesopotamian example of a universal impulse to explore, conceal, and transcend the limits of the visible world. The river itself adds another layer of fascination. The Euphrates is not a small stream. It is a vast and powerful river that has sustained civilizations for thousands of years. Its flow is strong, its waters deep, and its seasonal fluctuations dramatic. To imagine digging beneath it requires not only courage and skill, but also imagination, an ability to see the underground space not just as soil and rock, but as a living system interacting with water, pressure, and the forces of nature. In stories, this interplay between human ingenuity and natural power makes the tunnel even more impressive, a marvel that bridges the human and the natural, the seen and the unseen. Some tales suggest that the tunnel's discovery brought knowledge or power, that those who found it gained access to secret chambers, treasures, or sacred rites. Others imply that it was a trap, a passage fraught with dangers, collapses, or floods, where only the clever, brave, or lucky could survive. The ambiguity of the stories adds to their allure, for the tunnel becomes not just a physical space but a narrative space, a place where imagination and history intertwine, where the limits of human possibility are tested, and where the line between fact and fiction blurs into something that captivates the mind and lingers in memory. The Euphrates Tunnel, whether imagined, lost, or hidden, remains a symbol of the ingenuity, ambition, and mystery of ancient Babylon. It evokes a world in which rivers could be crossed unseen, where the earth could be carved to human will, and where the secrets of the city lay not only in its streets and walls, but beneath the waters that fed and protected it. The tunnel, like the city itself, belongs to a time when human creativity, daring, and devotion to gods and rulers combined to produce marvels that continue to inspire curiosity, awe, and endless speculation, a legend that stretches across centuries and continents, inviting each new generation to imagine what might lie beneath the flowing waters of one of the world's oldest and most legendary rivers. The tunnel has inspired countless storytellers, archaeologists, and dreamers to search for evidence, to imagine what it would be like to walk through such a passage, to feel the cool, damp air, to hear the muffled rush of the river overhead, and to glimpse chambers and corridors that were once trodden by people whose lives were dedicated to survival, worship, and service to the city. Every imagined brick, every carved symbol, every whispered legend of secret passageways adds depth to the story, painting Babylon not only as a city of wealth, power, and culture, but as a city with a hidden, breathing heart, a place where human ambition met the forces of nature in ways both tangible and mystical, where the river was not merely an obstacle but a partner, a guardian, and a canvas upon which the ingenuity of the ancients might have been displayed. People have often speculated about the size and scale of such a tunnel, Some imagine it as a narrow passage, just wide enough for a single person or a small group to pass through. Others envision a larger corridor, capable of supporting entire squads of soldiers, laden with weapons, animals, or supplies. Some suggest chambers along the way, possibly reinforced with bricks and mortar, serving as resting points, storage rooms, or hidden gathering spots. Others imagine secret exits, cleverly disguised along the riverbanks, allowing the tunnel to serve as both a passageway and an escape route. Each variation of the story adds a layer of richness, showing that even a legend can be full of architectural imagination, tactical foresight, and a sense of drama that brings the ancient world vividly to life. The legend has also sparked debates about what is possible with ancient engineering. Modern engineers, who construct tunnels beneath rivers using steel, concrete, pumps, and sophisticated planning, often marvel at the idea that people thousands of years ago might have achieved something similar with far more primitive tools. Some speculate that the Babylonians had techniques that have been lost to time, clever methods of shoring up tunnels, managing water pressure, and ensuring structural stability. Others suggest that the tunnel is purely symbolic, representing human ingenuity and ambition rather than a physical reality. Yet whether real or allegorical, the story has inspired imagination across millennia, from the earliest scholars to modern archaeologists and enthusiasts who continue to wonder what secrets the Euphrates may still conceal beneath its flowing waters. The legend also resonates with a human fascination for what is hidden and secret. Throughout history, people have been drawn to tunnels, hidden chambers, and places that lie beneath the surface, whether for protection, ritual, commerce, or adventure. The Euphrates Tunnel embodies this fascination, a subterranean mystery lying beneath one of the great rivers of the ancient world, a reminder that beneath every familiar landscape may lie another world, unseen, untold, and waiting to be imagined. It taps into the same desire that has led explorers into deserts, mountains, forests, and beneath cities, searching for hidden passages, lost cities, and ancient technologies that defy ordinary understanding. In some stories, the tunnel is linked to legendary figures of Babylonian history, perhaps kings, priests, or engineers, whose skill and vision were so great that they could challenge the very flow of a river. These figures are portrayed as visionaries, people who could combine knowledge of the earth, water, and human labour to achieve something extraordinary. Their names, often lost to history, are remembered only in whispers, in fragmentary texts, or in the imagination of storytellers who have tried to reconstruct the world of Babylon from ruins, inscriptions, and legends. The tunnel, in these stories, is as much a monument to human ambition and ingenuity as it is a practical passage, a testament to the idea that even beneath the most powerful forces of nature, people have always sought to carve their own paths. Some tales suggest that the tunnel might have been part of a larger network of underground passages, linking temples, palaces, and administrative centres, in a city as bustling and complex as Babylon, with thousands of residents, officials, priests, and soldiers. A hidden network would have been both practical and strategic. It could allow secret communication, secure movement of goods and people, and provide escape routes in times of crisis. In these visions, the Euphrates Tunnel is not an isolated marvel, but part of an integrated urban system, demonstrating foresight, planning, and an understanding of both human and natural systems that seems astonishing when imagined in the context of ancient technology. Legends also hint that the tunnel was associated with divine favour. In a culture where gods were believed to intervene in daily life, where omens and rituals guided decisions, and where rulers often claimed divine mandate, the construction of a tunnel beneath the Euphrates would be seen not merely as an engineering feat, but as an act blessed by the gods. Some stories suggest that ceremonies were performed to protect the tunnel, to ensure its stability, or to bless those who passed through it. In this way, the tunnel becomes not only a physical structure, but also a spiritual and cultural symbol, bridging the human and the divine, the material and the mystical. The allure of the Euphrates Tunnel has persisted into modern times. Writers, historians, and enthusiasts continue to speculate about its existence, imagining the thrill of discovery, the ingenuity required to construct it, and the secrets it might contain. Some have suggested that remnants of the tunnel could still exist, buried beneath layers of sediment and modern development, waiting to be unearthed by patient excavation or chance discovery. Others treat the story as a metaphor, a legend that captures the imagination and preserves the sense of wonder that surrounded Babylon and its remarkable achievements. In either case, the tunnel remains a powerful symbol, a reminder of human curiosity, creativity, and the enduring desire to explore what lies beneath the surface of the known world. Even the physical challenges of building such a tunnel contribute to its legendary status. The Euphrates is not only wide and deep, but also subject to shifting currents, seasonal floods, and the accumulation of silt and debris. To construct a tunnel beneath it would require constant attention, adaptation to changing conditions, and ingenious methods of preventing collapse and flooding. Ancient builders would have had to contend with the hardness of the soil, the presence of rocks, and the pressure of water seeping through the earth. Each of these obstacles adds drama to the story, highlighting the courage, intelligence, and determination that the builders, real or imagined, would have had to possess. The tunnel also sparks imagination about daily life in Babylon. What was it like to move through a passage beneath a living river, the waters above flowing relentlessly, the sounds of the city muffled by the earth? How did travellers navigate the darkness, the dampness, and the echoing spaces? Did they leave inscriptions, marks of ownership, or symbols of protection along the walls? Did animals pass through the tunnel, carrying supplies or aiding in construction? Each question opens a new window into the human experience, inviting us to step into a world long vanished, to imagine the smells, sounds, and sensations of a hidden underworld beneath one of the most legendary rivers in history. The story of the Euphrates Tunnel blends history, imagination, engineering, and mythology. It speaks to a time when humans dreamed of shaping nature, of connecting cities and people in ways that seemed impossible, of building marvels that could inspire awe for generations. The tunnel has become more than a simple passage. It is a symbol of ambition, secrecy, ingenuity, and the desire to leave a mark on the world that endures beyond the lifetime of its builders. Its waters, walls, and passages have been imagined in countless ways, each retelling adding richness to the legend, creating a tapestry of human aspiration that stretches across millennia, flowing as surely as the river itself, carrying with it stories of courage, invention, and mystery that continue to captivate the mind and fuel the imagination. The story of the tunnels of Mitla begins in a place where the past sits so close to the present that the two almost touch, a place where the ground itself seems to breathe old memories. Mitla, a small town in the state of Oaxaca in southern Mexico, is known today for its quiet streets, its warm sunlight, and its gentle rhythm of daily life. But beneath this peaceful surface lies a world that many believe was once filled with sacred meaning, ritual pathways, stone chambers, and underground passageways carved by the ancient Zapotec people long before the arrival of the Spanish. The idea that a network of hidden tunnels lies beneath the church of San Pablo Apostol, which was built during the early colonial period on top of Zapotec temple ruins, has fascinated researchers, travellers, and storytellers for many generations. Mitla itself has been an important site for a very long time. The Zapotec civilization, which flourished in this region for many centuries, built Mitla as a place not only of government and priestly authority, but also of spiritual significance. The very name Mitla comes from a word that is often translated as the place of the dead, or the in-between place, a word that hints at the connection between the living world above and the shadowy, mysterious world below. Long before the Spanish arrived in the early 16th century, Mitla was already believed to be a sacred doorway between the two realms, and the buildings here were decorated with patterns and symbols that told stories about the afterlife, the spirits, and the path a person travelled after death. When the Spanish conquered the region and began to spread their own religion, they built churches in places where local temples and sacred buildings once stood, and one of those structures became the Church of San Pablo Apostol. The church is still there today, its walls standing tall over stones that came from much older times. But according to many accounts from local tradition, old stories, and even early explorers, the church does not only sit on top of Zapotec ruins, it may also sit above a network of ancient tunnels. These tunnels, according to some, form part of a larger labyrinth created by the Zapotecs long ago, and they may lead to underground chambers that served as places of ritual, burial, initiation, or communication with the realm of spirits. The idea of tunnels beneath Mitla is not new. It has been whispered and repeated for hundreds of years. In the early part of the colonial era, Spanish chroniclers recorded stories from indigenous people who said that Mitla had passages beneath the ground, stretching far beyond the boundaries of the visible city. Some early visitors wrote that the priests of the old Zapotec religion once entered these tunnels during ceremonies, and that the tunnels connected to deep chambers where only the highest-ranking individuals could go. Many of these stories describe darkness, silence, and a feeling of being between worlds, as if these underground places were not entirely part of the earthly realm. Over time, the stories grew more detailed, and the tunnels became a subject of curiosity. When people looked at the structures of Mitla built above ground, with their precise stonework, their geometric designs, and their heavy stone columns, they wondered what might lie beneath. The buildings that still stand today, with their large courtyards and long halls, were constructed with great skill. Unlike many Mesoamerican civilizations that built pyramids rising toward the sky, the Zapotecs built many structures that stretched outward and downward, suggesting that the world below the surface was just as important as the world above. It is said that the church of San Pablo Apostol was built directly on top of the most sacred part of the ancient site. The Spanish friars believed that the best way to erase the old religion and introduce the new one was to place their churches directly on top of ceremonial centres. But the Zapotecs believed that certain spots were not simply locations for buildings, they were portals. They were places where energy flowed between realms. If tunnels existed beneath these spots, they would not have been ordinary passages used only for movement. They would have been spiritual routes meant to connect humans with the underworld, which they did not think of as a place of fear, but instead as a realm where ancestors lived and where great truths were revealed. There are many accounts describing what lies beneath the church. Some say there is a small chamber directly under the building, a room carved so precisely that the stones still fit together perfectly after many centuries. Others say that from this chamber, 2 or 3 narrow passages lead deeper into the earth, twisting and turning until they reach larger rooms. These deeper rooms, according to some stories, were once used for important rituals carried out by Zapotec priests. Some of the stories say the priests would spend hours or even full days inside the underground chambers, meditating, praying, or speaking with spirits. Early 20th century explorers who visited Mitla often asked local people about the tunnels, and the answers they received varied. Some villagers said the tunnels were so long that no one had ever walked to the end of them. Some elders spoke of the tunnels extending far beyond the church grounds, possibly connecting to other ancient buildings or even remote parts of the valley. There is even a legend that one tunnel once led to a place many days' travel away, perhaps linking multiple sacred sites across the region. Although this idea seems mysterious, many ancient cultures did build long underground systems for travel or ritual, so people believe it is possible. In the 1930s, a group of researchers attempted to explore beneath the church. They entered through a small stone chamber and found what looked like the entrance to a tunnel, but the passage was blocked with stones, and the researchers were not able to go farther. They took notes and sketches, but they could not continue the exploration. Some say the church leaders did not want anyone digging under the building, fearing damage to the structure or disturbance of sacred ground. Others say the blockage had already been there for centuries, placed by either the Zapotecs or later groups who wanted to seal the tunnels for reasons unknown. In the 1960s, there were further attempts. Some researchers used small instruments to investigate the earth below the church without digging into it. They reported that the ground beneath the church was hollow in some places, suggesting that empty spaces or chambers existed underground. Other investigations used ground-penetrating tools and received signals that looked like passageways, though they could not be entirely certain without excavation. Still, the report strengthened the belief that there were tunnels under the church and that these tunnels might be connected to a much older system created before the Spanish occupation. Many archaeologists believe that the tunnels beneath Mitla, if they truly exist, were part of a larger underworld labyrinth that was central to Zapotec cosmology. The Zapotecs, like many Mesoamerican cultures, believed the cosmos had 3 layers: the world above for gods of the sky and celestial forces, the world here on the surface where humans lived, and the world below, which was not simply a place for the dead, but a realm of wisdom and transformation. The idea of a labyrinth was connected to the journey a soul takes after death. A labyrinth was not meant to confuse or trap. Instead, it was a symbolic path through which one had to walk to reach deeper understanding. Some ancient murals and carvings found in the region show figures entering doorways in the ground. Others show scenes of transformation, as if the underground realm was a place where a person might be spiritually changed or reborn. This has led some researchers to think that the tunnels beneath Mitla might have served as a type of ceremonial space for initiation. A young priest or a person of high social rank might have been taken into the depths, travelling through darkness and silence to reach a chamber where rituals were performed. Emerging from the underground world might have symbolised rebirth, wisdom, or acceptance into a new role. These ideas became even more interesting to people when stories emerged from the late 19th century and early 20th century of people who had entered parts of the tunnels. One local story tells of a man who entered a tunnel near one of the ancient buildings. He walked for what felt like a very long time, sometimes crawling through narrow parts and ducking beneath low ceilings. He said he eventually reached a large room where he saw carvings on the walls and stones arranged in a pattern he could not understand. He said there was a feeling of great stillness in the air, so strong that he became frightened and turned back. When he reached the entrance again, he discovered that hours had passed even though he felt he had not been underground for very long. Another older man, interviewed decades ago, said that when he was a child, he and his friends found an opening near one of the courtyards of the ancient ruins. They crawled inside and followed the tunnel until they reached a place where the ceiling became low and the path narrowed. They felt a sudden change in the air, as if the space ahead was colder or heavier, and they became frightened and went back. He said that after telling an adult, the entrance was blocked with stones to prevent children from going inside. The man said that for years afterward he dreamed of the tunnel and felt as if it was calling to him. Many people have wondered why the tunnels were sealed. There are several ideas. One theory is that when the Spanish built the church, they sealed the tunnels to prevent anyone from continuing the old rituals. The Spanish priests feared that people might go underground and continue to practice Zapotec beliefs in secret. Another idea is that the Zapotecs themselves sealed the tunnels during a time of crisis, perhaps during war, drought, or invasion, hoping to protect sacred spaces or hide something valuable. Still another idea is that later people sealed the tunnels out of fear, believing that the underworld should not be disturbed. The Church of San Pablo Apostol itself is an interesting part of the story. It was built in the 16th century, not long after the Spanish arrived in the region, and it was constructed using stones taken from the nearby Zapotec buildings. If you look closely at the walls of the church, you can see stones with ancient carvings mixed in with the newer bricks, showing how the two worlds were layered on top of each other. The church sits on a platform that once held a Zapotec palace or temple, and this platform may have had stairways leading to underground rooms. When the Spanish built over it, some of the original entrances may have been filled in, but the chambers below may still exist. In the last few decades, interest in the tunnels has grown. Archaeologists have used more advanced technology to study the ground beneath the church and nearby buildings. Some of these studies have shown hollow spaces that match the size of small rooms. Others show long, straight lines that could be tunnels. A few years ago, researchers using advanced tools detected what looked like a large chamber, roughly beneath one corner of the church. They believed the chamber might be connected to other parts of the underground system. Local officials allowed limited exploration, but no major excavation was carried out because of concerns about damaging the church or disturbing an important heritage site. People who live in Mitla today still talk about the tunnels. Some say that when they were children, their grandparents warned them never to play near certain places because the ground sometimes felt hollow. Others say that if you stand in the church at night, when everything is quiet, you can sometimes hear faint sounds from beneath the floor, echoes, whispers, or movements that cannot be easily explained. Some believe these sounds are simply the shifting of old stones, but others believe they are signs that the tunnels are still there, filled with memories and energy from long ago. Many travellers who visit Mitla are drawn to the idea of the underworld labyrinth. When they walk among the ancient buildings, they sometimes feel as if the ground itself is alive with history. The stone patterns carved into the walls above ground are famous for their precision. Unlike many ancient sites that use images of gods or animals, the patterns at Mitla are made of geometric designs that fit together like puzzles. These designs may have had symbolic meaning. Some scholars believe the geometric patterns might represent pathways, movement, journeys, or the cycles of life and death. If this is true, the buildings above ground might have been reflections of what existed below ground, a physical echo of the hidden labyrinth. The idea of an underworld labyrinth also connects Mitla to other ancient cultures around the world. Many civilizations built underground passageways, sometimes for practical reasons, sometimes for spiritual reasons, and sometimes for reasons that remain mysterious. But the tunnels of Mitla, if they truly exist as many people believe, would be among the most fascinating because of their connection to a living tradition. The people of the region have kept the stories alive for centuries. Parents tell children about the tunnels. Elders repeat stories told to them by their own grandparents. The belief that the tunnels were sacred remains strong, even today. The possibility of subterranean chambers beneath Mitla is also connected to old tales about treasures or hidden objects. Some legends say that the Zapotecs placed sacred items in the underground rooms, items used in ceremonies, items belonging to important leaders, or objects that were never meant to be seen by the unprepared. These stories say that the items were placed in the depths during a time of danger, perhaps just before or during the arrival of the Spanish, to keep them safe. Some stories even say that the items themselves have power, and that they should not be uncovered unless the right person, someone with knowledge of the old ways, is present. The tunnels have also been linked to stories of the afterlife. Some accounts say that long ago, when a person of high status died, their body was carried into the underground labyrinth, where it remained for a period of time before final burial or cremation. This was part of a ceremonial journey. The idea was that the soul of the person had to pass through the underworld, and placing the body in the tunnels helped guide the soul along the correct path. Some say that there were chants or rituals performed in the dark chambers, and that the sound of chanting in the enclosed stone spaces would echo and vibrate in ways that made the ceremonies feel otherworldly. In the 1980s, a small group claimed to have entered part of an underground passage near the ancient ruins during a brief period when restoration workers had temporarily moved some stones. According to their story, they found a narrow stairway leading downward. At the bottom, they reached a tiny chamber where the air was still and cool. There were marks on the walls that looked like carvings. They said they could see another tunnel leading farther, but they did not continue because the air felt thin and they feared they might become lost. Whether their story is true or simply another legend added to the long list of tales is hard to say, but it added to the sense of mystery surrounding the site. The tunnels of Mitla have also appeared in old Spanish documents. Some missionaries wrote about hearing indigenous people talk about dark passages leading into the earth. One friar wrote that the people he spoke with believed the passages were roads for the spirits, and that only certain priests were allowed to enter them. This friar claimed he had seen one of the entrances himself before it was sealed, though he never described it in detail. Another document from many centuries ago describes a deep place beneath the temple, where the old ones spoke to the gods. Because the Spanish often misunderstood indigenous traditions, it is difficult to know exactly what this document referred to, but many people believe it may have been describing the underground system beneath Mitla. Even the name Mitla adds to the mystery. The original word used by the Zapotecs and Mixtecs was Mictlan, or something similar, a term shared with other Mesoamerican cultures to describe the land of the dead. This shared concept suggests that the idea of an underworld was deeply important across the region. Mitla may have been a physical representation of this idea, a place where the world of the living and the world of the dead were believed to meet. If so, the tunnels beneath the site would have been essential to its meaning. When people imagine the tunnels today, they often picture long dark corridors, carved by hand with stone tools many centuries before the modern age. They imagine quiet air, the faint smell of earth, and the feeling of being far away from the sunlit world above. They picture flickering torches held by ancient priests walking slowly into the depths. They imagine ceremonies carried out in low-ceilinged rooms, where shadows danced across carved walls and where the sound of chanting echoed in strange, haunting tones. The idea of the tunnels is not only interesting from a historical point of view, it is deeply atmospheric, filled with emotion and imagination. There is also the mystery of what might still be hidden beneath the earth. Archaeologists believe that much of ancient Mitla has not yet been uncovered. Because the town has been continuously inhabited for centuries, and because buildings and roads now stand where old structures once were, excavation is difficult. Many underground features lie below modern houses, streets and markets. It is possible that the tunnels extend in directions that no one has yet explored, perhaps passing under parts of the town that people walk across every day without realizing what lies beneath their feet.